some new roommates. Dash, putting on his best suit, heads to the harbour, only to be accosted and inquisitioned by a young lady, and then barely being let go of by his adoring mother. He leaps to his departing boat just in time to make the travel. Eos, soaked in blood and dirt, with the ever-faithful and courageous Ducky, are offered an opportunity to make a change for the better in their lives. Hatsu, mysterious but incredibly well trained, honoured by his father with one of only 2 sacred weapons, is set upon his new line of learning, to which Hatsu will hold in respect of all. Slade, with a "What? What is it? What?" has a young woman's face and his future flash in front of his very face. After a meeting with a mysterious stranger and a bag of gold, Slate agrees to a vague request. Weslin, with his faithful chicken, a red dog/fox, departs from the only home he's known for the longest time. With a long but fun journey ahead of him and a stolen roast chicken in his lap, Wes is very excited about their future. And as the party all arrive to Maleficum's Arcanum of Magic and Might, and greeted by the very prestigious Remington Maleficent himself, with a "Welcome to Maleficum's Arcanum of Magic and Might. Please follow your leaders and head into your dorms." We join the party.
That was fucking fantastic. Do I step down as DM now? We just let Ryan do this from here? Is that good?
Yeah, so it be so.
I told you, boys. I told you.
Thank you, Nessie, in chat, for letting me know that the sound was not on at the beginning. All that was missed was we introduced name tags. Thank you so much for the feedback. We do listen to you. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for letting us know the things that we can do to make this stuff better. Hopefully this is a magnificent increase in quality between last week and this week. And we kicked it off nicely with Ryan absolutely nailing that introduction. And the flashback.
We will follow that.
I don't know how we follow that, and we're doing it by character alphabetically, so Kian, you're next week, so, you know.
Yeah, I know. That's my concern.
I told you, boys, I'm coming for you.
That's it.
I got fierce and laryngitis coming on.
That's absolutely. Perfect. So, with that in mind, we'll pick up where we left off in the halls of Maleficum's Arcanum. The crowds that are there, it's not massive, but there's a few dozen people that are here. There's people standing on the stage. There's a lot going on. And those that drove you here from the shores meet up with you again to bring you to where you were left in the hallways. They want to take you to your dorms and to get you settled. A freshers week of sorts. You have some time to explore Maleficums. What do you guys like to do?
Well, as we're kind of being led to the dorms, I suppose, quite like to keep an eye out for anything on the walls. Paintings, braziers, anything shiny.
Okay. Perfect. I mean, this whole place is pristine. It's old. The stone is like nothing you've ever seen. It's carved of, like, straight from the mountain itself. It's incredible. You come from a place, you come from Palperoth, where, again, it is somewhere that was made with the landscape in mind. It was built with sandstone and a variety of things, but this is something else. This looks beyond the capabilities of just mere hands. This looks carved and taken care of, and every intricate detail matters. The paintings you walk past represent people that were here before. The hallways are littered with, like, trophies and prizes and things that people have gotten, and yeah, the braziers and stuff like that, they look ornamental and pristine. Yeah.
And looking at the paintings, prizes, I assume trophies might be dated in certain situations. Do I get a sense of how old this place is?
It's hard to date this, but what I will Oh, well, let's go for some rolls, shall we? I'll get you to do a perception check for me if you don't mind.
A perception check. I will gladly do that. I think this is my first roll of the campaign. Let's go.
It is, yeah. We've had 2 rolls and both of them were Ryan so far, so.
Both good and bad as well.
Mm.
It'll be a 9 for my first roll. We're not off to a great start, folks.
9, there we go. Yeah, it's a little hard to tell, but I don't think that's so much on you as it is on the quality of the upkeeping of this place. A lot of love and care has gone into maintaining everything that's here. It was just purchased a week ago. It could have been here for 1,000 years. It's really hard to tell. It's just, it doesn't look like a moment has gone by where nobody has cared about this place. This is a place of love. Yeah.
I'll catch Amadriana's eye. It's the only one I've actually spoken to so far, and just turn and go. Say they keep this place very well. It's impossible to tell if it's aged or not.
Is that a statement or a question? Are you looking?
Statement. I'm trying to ascertain how long this establishment, academy, I guess you would call it, how long it's been here. Usually, if I'm in a building, I can get some sort of sense of the place. But this is, I mean, it's vast, but I've never even heard of it before, and everything is so clean. Something so large, I would expect, cobwebs, a bit of dirt maybe, but there's nothing. It's impressive.
She takes a look round and kind of observing the wonderful kind of architecture of the place. Would she have any idea, whereas Dash went as a point of looking for age from the thing, would I have any idea of, from the architecture of the place, how old it could possibly be?
Yeah, I would say you can make an investigation check on that one.
So that would be a 19.
19? So with the 19, yeah, I mean, the architecture and design of this place isn't modern. It's quite old. In terms of like the location, the place that you've seen, things like that you've encountered in the past, you're more used to a very modern sense of design, of architecture, of infrastructure. Like where you come from is quite different. Mm-hmm. So what we would be looking at here would be something that was around long before Verduar was ever even a thought or a concept.
Okay.
Like the early hundreds of time. Very early.
Okay. Well, not that architecture is really my forte, but it does seem that this place could be from early age of man, especially of recorded history anyway. It does seem rather well kept, as you say. Almost artificially well kept.
That is impressive insight, Amadriana. Correct. Sorry, I got that right, yes?
You did indeed.
Yeah, wonderful.
While they're both chatting along and doing their stuff, Hatsu is kind of more interested in how the buildings are layered, how the runways are, like, is there like some kind of funneling system? Like, he tries to distinguish which part of that building might be for what, so he has a better orientation.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's not complicated for Hatsu to establish a sort of sense of this, because he comes from a place that in itself is quite old. Saganotoshi is historically old. what we would be dealing with in this would be something that... I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. This would be older than anything any of you have ever seen. But it has a touch of modernism to it. But the hallways are sprawling. Like, you guys are walking down... Like, think the halls of Moria, for example. Like, this wide, sprawling space with these pillars and stuff. You're going down a large corridor with many, many, many corridors that go in different places. This place has multiple floors. That's clear when you're walking in. It goes up and up and up and up and up and up. It is... What I will say for Hatsu is that as someone who has intricate knowledge of how the workings of this kind of construction would go, you've seen Saganatoshi built, you've seen your family build things, like this is something that you would be aware of. Historically speaking, the year is 1542. This place looks like it would take longer than 1,542 years to build. It is impressive beyond measure.
Which of the teachers did go in front of us? I can't quite remember.
Didn't state what it was, but you can ask him if you like. He is just leading the way.
Okay, Hatsu goes like, Sensei, may I ask a question?
He turns around and he's like, me?
Yeah, Sensei, I feel ashamed that I seem to have lost your name. Would you help me with that?
Yep. My name is Curtin. You're looking at a gentleman who looks like this. He is quite green-skinned, messy hair, the rugged armor, the same thing that was described last week. He doesn't have as angry an expression on his face, but Curtin is his name. I'm not a teacher here. I am a janitor of this place. Caretaker of sorts.
Yeah. I was curious if I didn't quite realize in which part of the country we are, and I feel a little uncomfortable not knowing where I am exactly. Would you help me to calm my mind?
We are in a place called the Crescent Pearl. It is central on the Isles. Madriana, you specifically would know more what the Isles are than the rest of these people. The Isles are the central waterway between the four islands, an interconnecting waterway that goes straight through the islands themselves, that separates them into four quadrants. If you're in the center point of this, then you are directly in the middle of the four islands, and for you that would be basically a little bit northwest of where you come from. Not too far, because you are also in the central point of this.
So this would have been one of the splinter islands off of the mainland, essentially.
Yeah, there are quite a few. Generally, it's something that people don't want to explore. The one main theme that goes between all of the islands is that law exists on the mainlands. There is no law off the mainlands. If you're on the water, if you're on these islands, there's nothing to protect you. There is no law here at all. Now, where you are in this sense of location seems to be quite safe. If you go to somewhere else, maybe not. The mainlands are protected, but that's different, yeah.
It's also the thing that probably strikes Madriana as the weirdest then as well, is that this place is kind of untouched, or at least unhindered.
Yeah.
And that's kind of interesting to her.
Yeah. It's also weird because, like, the coastline around your island isn't magnificent. There's a lot of things on the island that you come from, but that's a little bit different. Where you would have looked around, you would have never seen anything from your home that looks even remotely like this. A giant castle built into a mountain. Like, you can see the mainlands from where you are. Like, they're far out. Like, there's like travel points, but like...
So like I should have been able to see this if it was actually visible, kind of thing.
Right, we're not talking the distance from Ireland to England. We're talking the distance between the coastlands like of the same country. Like we're within, like you can see where you're from specifically. You could see the 4 islands. Maybe from the southwest island, you couldn't see the northeast island. That might be a thing, but like.
So I should have been able to see this, but I couldn't.
You're a little bit perplexed because you would have. You can see the island behind this, just not this place. Yeah.
Right. Gotcha.
So Hatsu would also get the idea that the place where he comes from is also from the center island, and this is just another small space of the middle thing of this world.
Where you come from is Arboris. That is the southeastern island. The southwestern island is... I'm confusing myself now. The southwestern island is Vulcanus. The northeastern island is Desolata. Vulcanus, sorry, would be where Slate, that's the island that you come from. Desolata, that's Dash, you would come from there. Arboris, that would be Westland, Hatsu, and Eos. You would all come from there. And then you've got Herbs up in the top, I was going to say the top left, in the northwest corner. And that is, that's its own place. Oh, sorry, excuse me, actually, that's where Slate comes from. I apologize, you're not from Desolata, you're from Herbs. But that would be, that would be the breakdown. And then in the middle of, like, you have them basically in 4 perfect quadrants, and in the middle of that is this entire waterway that mostly isn't something that would be typically mapped. And even if it was, most people don't travel as far as what you're dealing with here. So you will find people that do, like Hatsu, your sister. She's gone to a completely different island, but that's unusual. That isn't something you typically do. So it's more likely you would find maps and stuff of your own island, of your own locations, things like that. But for the overall layout of everything, this is a mostly unexplored area. Yeah.
So for him, it would be more like leaving the country for the first time.
Yeah, in a huge way, and not just like leaving the country, leaving your home as well. Like you're taking a big trip. Like you may have been on boats before. You come from a place that sailing and stuff and merchants is, but like not on this kind of voyage. Like this was you going all the way across the mainland, and then going on a boat, and then going past where Madriana lived. You would have been on the same boat as Westland and Eos and stuff like that. That would have been, it would have been a magnificent trip.
So after acknowledging all of that, he kind of stops for a second, bows, and says, "Domo arigatou gozaimashita, Kordan-san." And he kind of goes back in the line and just tries to be...
He kind of nods it off and starts walking forward, and then he'll lean into, I'll say, someone who's probably up front, would probably be Dash or something, would be up there. He just leans in and he's like, "Huh?
I'm afraid I don't speak whatever he's speaking."
Okay. He turns around, and not to be rude, he's like, "Dojo Bojo to you too, sir. Thank you." And then he just walks forward and tries to lead you up. And if he could blush, like there's a darker shade of green going on here.
Who out of this group looks the most uncomfortable?
I'm going to say Eos. If I know, I hope you're okay with me speaking on your behalf here, Rory. I'm going to say Eos would be probably the most uncomfortable here, yeah.
Okay. Magiana's going to keep an eye on that for sure.
Okay.
So this way, she's at the back of the queue of people. She's slightly off to the side. She's looking up at the paintings, but she's hiding her features very, very carefully.
Okay.
While this is happening, overhearing the conversations and, the back and forth with everybody, I'd be very aware that there's this vibe of unease as we settle into our new surroundings, trying to get familiar, trying to stay calm, trying to see what we can learn. And like somebody who is doing a dust inspection as I'm walking along, it's like almost going to touch things but not, because I'd be very used to, as we said before, the cold of Penzance. And even though this looks opulent, and the furniture and the rugs and the paintings, and the more a room is filled with things, the warmer it is. I think I would feel the cold from it, because it would feel clinical. It would feel that unease gives it a cold feel as opposed to the warmth embrace of somewhere you want to be. So
Right.
I think I would just stay with that unease, with that cold feeling, and just walk close to the others and just keep my eyes open, my ears open, and just keep paying attention.
Okay.
Because I wouldn't feel the warmth that people were starting to talk about, because for me, that's not the feeling I have.
Can you just give me an active perception check? Just out of my own curiosity, I just want to just check kind of what you're picking up on, and I'll let you know then. Okay. I'll keep an eye on that, and then if something appropriate comes up for you, I'll let you know. It falls under your passive as well, but it's just because you're actively telling me you're searching. I'd like to just keep that in mind as well. Thank you. As you all approach the first of many stairwells, it's quite large and spiraling. It's not just you that are making your way up. Like Hatsu, you would see a group with Boreal and stuff like that. Some of you see people that are wearing outfits that seem fitting for the school. They look like they've been here before. They would have been in the meeting hall as well. I said the meeting hall, the entrance. You get the impression that there are different sort of years here. This is not everybody's first time. This is some of your first times. And as you make your way up the spiral staircase, you only have to go so far. You go to the first floor. And from the first floor, he leads you down a corridor and into this large room that looks like a large living room, but it's quite circular. In there is stairwells on each side, and the stairwells add up to exactly the 6 of you. How fortunate. Each of your bedrooms are up there. It is dealer's choice who goes for which room. You guys can argue and pick as much as you want. It's not a complicated thing. Each room is basically the same. Curden just takes a moment and he acknowledges that this is probably quite an intimidating thing. There's a large fireplace here. There's a common area. You can sit, you can talk, you can hang out. You don't have to be isolated to your rooms, but you can if you want to. You will all be able to see the island from your rooms. There's already a confusion there, as this is a circular room. Technically, some of you should be able to only see inside, but you just nod and accept this as a thing. He leaves, and then he closes over the big cast door that's there, and there's a large sort of as the door closes. It's quite heavy, quite large. With that, you're all left alone for the first time in this place. You have your backpacks on, your shit is just kind of there, but whatever you guys want to do. Oh, the last thing, sorry, he lets you know that dinner will be in a couple of hours down in the main hall. Go back downstairs, and he just gives you directions on where to go.
Might I ask, Curtin, sir, what's on the menu?
Well, whatever you want.
Oh, of course, as expected. Thank you. Thank you very much.
No problem. As you each make your way to your separate rooms of your choice, there is a letter for each of you sitting on the bed, as if it was predetermined what room you would pick. So each of you looks down towards the various letters that are there, and they're each signed with your name. All but one of you. What would you guys like to do?
I personally would go for what I would deem to be the furthest room from the door, and if it's circled, I presume that would be something in the middle, because the others would be slightly to the side. Looking for that sense of safety, like when you're a small child, you don't want to be near whatever's under the bed, or the closet, or whatever it is. So my natural instinct would be go to whatever I perceive, so presumably the middle, and I think I would just go in, survey the room, sit on the bed, roughly stow my things to one side, and just sit and listen from inside my room.
Okay. The letter that's sitting there is just a welcome letter. It basically just says, jot down the things that would make you feel at home and feel comfortable. It's almost like just a tick box kind of thing, but it has a little space for information. So there's a little pen there. You just fill out the information. It says Slate on the top so that they know it's you. The same goes for each of you, basically.
Okay. Eos is going to choose the first door on the right.
Sure.
Just the quickest exit, pretty much. And she's going to close the door, and she's going to look at the letter.
Each of you has a room with a window, with a view, and you can all see different things, but it looks much higher than the first floor. It looks like it's almost the view from the top of this place. And you can see why this place is called the Crescent Pearl. It looks like a crescent moon shape as it goes around. There's 2 points at the end of it. The only person that has it slightly different is that Eos has a view of the stables as well. So you'll always be able to see Ducky from your room, at least in some capacity. You can't like look in the stable, but you'll know. It's a sense of knowing, right?
My room isn't in the stable. Oh, come on.
Just the waft of that smell would put me off already. So like,
Oh yeah.
it's not a luxury suite anymore after that.
Thank you. Fantastic.
I'll start with Hatsu, if it's okay. Hatsu, how do you approach coming into this room? This is the first time you've left home. This is the first room that's kind of yours, but, you know, not yours, I guess.
He kind of stands in the middle of the room, and he kind of puts his hand like this on his chest, and he's taking a deep breath in, a deep breath out, and he starts to kind of meditating while he's standing to kind of get a feel for the room. And he tries to find the best way for the best energy flow, if that makes sense. And while he was doing it, he kind of also imagines the smells from home, how home would smell like, how he would orientate in his room, like in correlation to the moon and stuff, because the moon does mean something to him.
Yeah.
And he's kind of, while he's in the kind of meditation phase, he kind of turns on his own axis to kind of check the room. And he's trying to figure out, what's this room about? Like, what is there? What shouldn't be there? What is bothering him? What is like giving him a good feeling, a good vibe?
Mostly it is the room is very basic and very bland. It has a bed in it, and it kind of has that sort of structure to it. It's quite square and a little bit kind of rounded in certain areas, but that's it. Mostly whatever you put on your checkbox is what will be in your room. So with that in mind, just you have the time to pick how your room should look and feel to you, and what you require. Do you require a chest to store your things in? Do you require specific things for like your training or whatever, like that kind of thing? I just assaulted my desk in excitement for Hatsu's room. And so with that kind of energy and with that thing in mind, it is something that Hatsu gets to make himself, rather than he has to be put in a place. He gets to choose his space.
Right, so he kind of focuses in the middle of the room, but his orientation is that his window is to the left.
Okay.
And he is kind of, while he's standing in the middle of the room, he's making like a circle-like movement with his leg, so his foot draws a circle on the floor.
Sick.
And he kind of, after he made the circle, it's like a little, it's not real dust, but you can see that he made that circle with his foot. So he kind of sits in the middle, and he takes like the sheet with the stuff, and he writes down that he would need some candles, and the candles should be arranged north, east, south, and west of the circle, like surrounding him.
Nice.
And he asks for like a cushion to sit on for meditation. He kindly asks to remove the bed because he doesn't understand the concept of this. He also asks for a chest and if possible, a stand for his weapons. Like, he would describe it in a way that they could understand that at home he would have like something that is mounted to the wall, a wooden structure that would allow him to place his swords. And he would also ask for some rose oil to kind of polish his swords and some stones to sharpen them.
Perfect. Okay. So you want your window to the left, you want to remove the bed, you would like a chest, a stand for your weapons, rose oil for polishing your swords and everything like that, and stones to sharpen them as well. Perfect. Excellent. Perfect. So with that, you're sitting there, you're filling out your checkbox and stuff like that. You take your stance to your sort of meditative stance to relax and kind of do this. Ryan, I'll jump up to you then. I'll go to Amadriana. What are you doing with your room, pal?
So, Amadriana would probably be one of the last ones to actually go up to her room. She'd wait and watch everyone else kind of drift off into wherever they're going to go. Because she'd be looking for the subtle signs of what that would mean.
Right.
So, like Eos going to the first door, that would give Amadriana a signification of maybe that, as above the table as Rory said, but how Amadriana would probably see it for Eos as well, is quickest to the door.
Oh yeah.
And basically slowly just watching as they all go into each of their rooms. Once there's the last room available, she'll head in, take a look around the room, see the window, see obviously the bed and stuff, see the note. Doesn't really pay too much heed to that.
Mm-hmm.
She'll walk over to the window. Is it openable?
Yeah.
Okay, so she'll open the window and she'll stick her head out, have a look around, see what's below, see kind of what's above. More importantly though, she's looking to see if there's a way she can climb out of this and up onto the roof above.
It would probably be too small for climbing out, just because of safety reasons. They wouldn't want just people homesick and being able to climb out a window. It's not in a sense of like it's barred or anything like that, but like it's quite a tight fit. Not something
Especially for me, I guess.
Yeah, like, but not something you're unfamiliar with, but I think it would probably be very difficult and painful for you to squeeze through this, because it's a stone wall. It's not like wood or something you can break. It's solid rock, you know.
Okay. On that basis, was there bigger, larger windows within the common room?
Yeah, there would probably be a space in the common room for you to do that, yeah. The view from your bedroom compared to the view from the common room would also be quite different. The view from the bedroom seems to be quite high up, whereas the common room actually fittingly seems to be one story or so up.
Okay. She's just looking to make sure if she wants to go out and sit on the roof and stuff like she would usually do, that there'd be a way to do that. That's kind of her main focus, is that kind of like how she would assume Eos to be with the picking the door closest to the exit. She'd be trying to find an alternative exit if she needed it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you would be able to use, probably the common room would be your alternative exit. This room is quite tall, but there isn't really somewhere necessarily to get out. Like if you were much smaller, perhaps, but it just currently wouldn't be something you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She'll take a look at the note.
Right.
It says like, what would make this better for you, that kind of thing.
Yeah, like what's your vibe?
And looking around the room, she sees she has a bed. I'm assuming she has a bathroom of some sort. Something that she doesn't have to share, which means she's comfortable with being able to possibly take off her mask when she needs to.
Yeah. She has a lock on her door as well, so she knows she won't, get barged in on or something.
Yeah. So then, just across the whole thing, writing just one thing: balcony,
Okay. Balcony.
and that's it.
Cool. No worries.
That's all she's requesting, is whether they could give her a balcony.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's no problem. So balcony, that's it. You don't need anything else?
No, I'm assuming there'd be like a standard chest to put in basics and clothing and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, she wouldn't really be asking for too much.
So you're just gonna wait till Dash picks all his stuff, take it from him, and then he can have the empty room, and you can have like whatever he needs. Got it.
But you know, if he's got stuff spare that his pockets don't realise are missing, that's up to him. Like,
Perfect.
Funny enough.
With that, I'm gonna jump down to Westland. If you want to tell me about your room. When you open the door, already sitting there is Chicken, as if patiently waiting for you for a long time.
Of course, Chicken's there. I go to the window, give Chicken a rub. As you stated, these windows aren't big enough to get out of.
No.
The roof is solid. There's no real looking like up. And the note is a big point of confusion for him.
Sure, of course, yeah, actually, yeah.
He opens it up. He reads it. Is a little unsure what exactly it is asking. Are there boxes to check, or is it a fill it in yourself?
There's a general thing, and then it asks for further information. So it's a general guideline of, do you need a bed? Do you need a chair? Do you need whatever? But there is like extra space to put more specific requests, as with the Medran and Hatsu, but Westland wouldn't necessarily know that, but just to explain it to you, yeah.
He checks all of the boxes that are available.
Mm-hmm.
All of them. But when he gets to the part where you can add more, he scribbles.
Just general scribbles, like not actually information, just okay.
He doesn't know how to. So in his best attempt to
Perfect, yeah.
mimic the markings on the card, he will scribble things that resemble words. And then be very unsure what to do with it from there. So he puts it out the window.
Perfect.
And immediately leaves the room. Go sit by the fire where it is more open space.
Yeah.
And with more possible bodies in that space.
Yeah. When you turn around, the piece of paper is elegantly folded beside Chicken, who is snoozing in a ball on the other bed. When you're taking a look around your space and stuff like that, and you're collecting this information in your head of the things that you would want, the paper is suddenly not scribbles. It's coherent information for you, as if it was taking what you wanted or needed from it, regardless of kind of your input on it, which to someone like Westland would probably be shocking and confusing, which is probably to all of you, actually, to be fair, would be pretty confusing. Yeah, none of you have that ability, so.
Yeah, he shrieks. There is definitely a shriek.
The fox stands up and growls immediately.
He throws it out the window again.
The fox?
Yes, chicken out. Fly chicken. No. He shrieks, throws the thing out the window. He runs out of the room. Oh my god, no.
Okay.
What the fuck?
You guys all hear that shriek, for sure.
And he will go downstairs and stare at the door where he exited. And then look to see if there's another paper around.
Yeah.
Another paper show up around here.
No paper around here, no.
He will camp there. This is where he's camping.
Okay. This is where he wants to be. Okay. So he's just sitting down. There's like a sofa by the fireplace by the table that's there, and you're just chilling there. You look around to see if anyone's kind of approaching. Nobody's there, but chicken is coming down the stairs with physical cooked roast chicken in its mouth, and it's just chilling.
I don't even know what to do with that. Like, what do you... How?
It's a good question.
How? I'll just sit and watch the fox eat chicken.
The fox is taking its time and enjoying the roast chicken very much. Probably, I think it's like its second one or third one since it got to the island, right? Like it had one when we got there, one at the cart, one at the door, and one here now. So this is its third roast chicken since you guys got here like an hour and a half ago. Yeah. Loves chicken. Perfect.
There's fully a moment of Amagiana thinking that the reason it's called chicken is because it smells like chicken constantly. Like that's the only reason why.
Delicious.
Yeah. I will jump to Dash. I'm gonna move in a clockwise and counterclockwise direction. How's your room, Dash?
Dash doesn't immediately go to his room.
Oh damn.
I think he's along the same lines as Madriana, funny enough. He would initially scout this common room, I guess we'll call it, that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that would look like perhaps a drinks cabinet?
Not a drinks cabinet, no.
What does he see in this room? Something that he's looking for something that he could idle by inconspicuously. You know, something that would make sense for him to go to check out.
It seems mostly like an empty space. Like there are presses and cabinets and stuff, but there's nothing in it yet. It looks like the idea would be to populate it with your needs as a group and as people. Like there isn't, like it's not overwhelming with I don't know what the word would be, luxury. Like it looks like it's prepped for luxury, if that makes sense, because the stuff is here to put that in place, but not yet.
Cool. And is there a window in this room as well?
Yeah, there's a main window here, a rather large one that looks out, and this one looks appropriately positioned here.
Cool. What he'll do is he'll saunter over to that window. He'll put his bag just down by the window as well, and just lean against it. And he's looking out the window, but he's also keeping an eye out, similarly to Madriana, just to take note of where the others are going and what kind of subtle hints that might give into their personality. I imagine that then the last one left would be Madriana, and at that point then he will make his way to his room and just kind of a little smirk and a half-hidden wink towards Madriana. He kind of knows what she's up to.
The room itself for you is not quite what you would picture. It's a little bit different, but there obviously with the checklist there are ways to change that and to make alterations to the design of this room.
So what Dash would write down, if there's a bed there, he's happy with it, and he would request perhaps a small wine cabinet, mixture of red and white if possible, and a nice armoire with, if they could populate some nice suits and robes in it, he would be very grateful.
Perfect. Suits and robes, got it. So yeah, with that in mind, you fold the piece of paper quite elegantly and look down upon it, taking in even the tiniest detail, because even the inlays on this thing and the embossing signify wealth, and there's just something delicious about that. Perfect. What I'll do is I'll jump to Slate here. I'll jump across and across and across.
So Slate would have, seen the letter. I've opened it, I've looked at it, and just put it back on the bed. All the rooms, as you described, are the same. So what we already know is in the room is, a bed, a mirror, a wash area, a lock on the door, and a window. For him, that's everything he needs. It's like if you've ever gone to someone's house that you're not familiar with, like some kind of babysitter or a granny or an aunt or somebody you know them, but you don't know them kind of well. He doesn't feel comfortable. He's like sitting on the floor beside the bed. His bag is unpacked, unopened, ready to go by the door. Like he doesn't believe he's going to stay. He's not unpacking. He's not settling in. He's not making it his own. He's just sitting in the room waiting for the call for dinner. This is not his house. This is not his stuff. This is not his place. This is not his family. This is not his anything. So it's someone else's stuff. So he's not touching anything. He's not doing anything. He's just sitting, listening to the people moving around and moving things in the main room, going up and down the stairs, the shrieks that are happening, and, chicken running up and down, and, all that kind of stuff. He's listening to what he can hear around him and just sitting calmly in the room, focusing on his senses of hearing and just waiting.
Absolutely. With that in mind, you don't even open the paper. You're just sitting there. You're ready to go. Yeah, you've got your go bag done. There isn't much to it for you, but I think for you, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think for you there's more of a sense of longing for answers and information, because there was obviously somebody interesting that you met that you haven't seen since, really. You've just saw him standing on the stage and that's it. There is a crossover there of information that you want, but with that comes I don't want to say impatience, but that's what your focus is rather than
I'm waiting for that dinner we've been told about. I'm assuming something's going to happen. We're going to see more people. There'll be some information. Like I said, like staying at someone's house when you don't really know the family, you feel like it'll come together when you're at dinner. So he's waiting for that moment. The one thing I would ask is the window in the room, as it's been described already, but is it open or shut in his room?
It would be closed in his room. They would be closed in all the rooms unless you choose to open it. They would come as a default, yeah.
Perfect. And again, he hasn't interfered or touched with anything. I just wanted to be aware of that. So that's it. He's just waiting for more, waiting to see what happens, waiting for things to unfurl, waiting for more information to arrive. Like I said, he's sitting in someone else's. It's like if you go to a show house, it's not yours to touch or interfere with. It's there, but it's not lived in.
Yeah.
So he's just not interacting with anything, just sitting on the floor and just listening.
Perfect.
Waiting for dinner.
Excellent. No worries. I will jump to Eos. Tell me about your room.
I have a quick question. Is there any form of electricity in this room?
Not at the moment.
Okay, that's grand. I have a list of things. And
a model train set.
Hell yeah. Scalextrics.
Scalextrics, that's what I was actually literally trying to remember.
Wait, that was an option. Hang on, I want Scalextrics.
But with everything she writes down on the list, there's going to be a please, if possible, would it be a bother associated to it. Eos is going to require some extra pillows because she'd like to arrange them on the windowsill to become a window seat. On the floor, if it's wooden, she wants a rug. Doesn't care what color. She would like herbal teas, effectively. Eos doesn't drink alcohol. For the bed, remove the bed frame. Leave the mattress on the floor. Let's see here, scent of lavender, whether it be through flowers or a bowl of scents, would be great. A throw over that she can put on herself when she's reading. And the question about the electricity was she just prefers candlelight. Back in the bookshop, there was no hint of electricity whatsoever.
Yeah.
And an hourglass, please.
An hourglass, got it. Perfect. As you're writing, the document's quite small, but as you're writing, it seems to just expand ever so slightly to fit the requests that you're putting in. So there's always space for what you need. You fold the piece of paper, you put it down, and and sort of simultaneously, although not to Westland's knowledge, simultaneously, the documents go. Once you're all done with your documents, they vanish. Somehow not the weirdest part of today for you guys, but pretty weird. As you emerge from your various rooms, you find Westland staring at his fox chicken, eating roast chicken. Unsure where it came from, but the whole room smells like chicken. It's a good smell, unless you're a vegetarian, in which case probably not.
Where does he keep finding the chickens? Why is it so well cooked?
I'm not quite sure, but I wonder if it's just chickens he can find.
I like this fox. Did you, Midriana, did you catch the young chap's name? I'm not sure if I asked. I don't believe I did.
I think you did, but you didn't get an answer. You were talking more about his red fox, if I believe.
Ah, yes, that makes sense. Excuse me, young man.
The fox stands up and growls, just a little bit, a warning growl.
Chicken, no.
The fox lays back down.
You've excellent command of the fox. Well done. Do you know where he's getting the chicken?
No.
Fascinating.
Out there, maybe.
Is he a magical animal, or is he just a fox?
Is chicken red dog?
Yes, is
Right.
your red dog real or magic?
Wesley stares at you. It looks really confused.
Right.
Yes. Oh.
I'm gonna go down to one knee and put my hand out for the red fox, just to see if he's tangible, or at least to the potential level of tangibility.
Right. Yeah. You reach down to pet the fox, and it gives a knowing look to Westland, as if like, is this all right?
But yeah, I wouldn't do it unless they were both comfortable with it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Chicken is his own chicken, like.
Yeah. With that, when you reach down and you pet the fox, it is definitely tangible. It's very soft. Its fur is well maintained. It is a well cared for and loved creature.
Upon hearing all these conversations, I think Slate would just make his way into the room, wouldn't, make a big fuss of it, but might just go and lean in one of the corners or just be present, but just watching what's going on.
It may be what would be one of the slightest of slips, and Madriana will kind of maybe settle into brushing this fox a little bit too comfortably.
Oh, that's nice. The fox does what most creatures, or most dogs definitely do. That rolls on its back and it just exposes the belly, because belly rubs are king. And that is the way of the dog. It enjoys the belly rubs and stuff, and it lowers its guard and succumbs to the boon of scritches.
Yeah. She'll do that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
She'll do that for a second and then realize kind of she's let herself out a bit, and then kind of stands back up and stands back.
Israel?
He's real. And
Good
very
job.
soft.
Chicken soft.
Soft.
Use goes to the bathroom, wash herself up. She takes off her hood and her jacket, which includes the hood, and she heads down to what I assume would be some kind of a kitchen or common area to make a cup of tea. Anyone who may notice as she walks down the stairs towards there is her wrappings. underneath her cloak and such is just white wrappings with blood stains and stuff. No shoes on, just socks.
You make your way down towards the banquet hall, where everybody's kind of, you hear chatter coming from there. It would be the place that you would presumably want to check. There are teas and everything there as well. Perfect.
So sorry, Eos came down into the common room where we are.
Oh, sorry, you were going into the common room. Sorry, I thought you were going to... Sorry, oh, right, sorry, I apologize. Yes. Yeah, you make your way into the common room. Apologies. Apologies.
Okay.
I was just confirming.
Yeah, no, I misunderstood, so that's good.
With the way my passive is, and Eos obviously, or Rory, they're explaining about the bandages that we might see the wrappings and stuff. Is the blood from internal source or external? Like, is it splatters or is it leak? Do you know what I mean?
Would have been a leak, yeah.
It would have been, okay. Okay, cool.
Can make a cup of peppermint tea.
No worries. Absolutely, you do. The kettle is a little bit of a strange contraption because it's not a... you would be more used to, you heat up a stove of some sort or a flame, you put the kettle on. This kettle is just sitting there by itself. There doesn't seem to be a stove or a flame. You look at the fireplace, doesn't seem to be there. You touch the side of it and these runic symbols start to go around it and it begins to heat itself.
Ah, what do they say?
You can make an Arcana check for that. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Blame on.
Well, they might say that now. What did you get? Let me see.
13.
13? Oh, yeah, there we go. 13. Yeah, you... Yeah, screw it. It's just a flame on. Why not? Like, yeah, it says something in the line of flame on. It basically is talking about... It's a heat incantation, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Fantastic. And with that cup of tea in the hand, I'm going to sit on the top of my stairwell, just keeping eyes down on the gang.
Absolutely. Yeah, oh, absolutely.
I'd make my way over to Slate. I assume I would have seen him walk in.
Does Slate join them? Do you go down when you hear the hustle and bustle downstairs? Yeah.
Yeah, I just came down, didn't make a scene, and just, in the room, but not mixing, just
right. Yeah.
standing, observing the fox petting, etc. Because when I heard the conversation between everybody and that chatter and activity was happening down below, I just made my way down just to see what was going on.
If it was me, I would be observing the fox petting too. I understand. Absolutely. So yeah, you can. Yeah, Dash, you can approach him.
What time of day is it? Morning? Afternoon?
That's a good question. I would say probably we're approaching afternoonish by the time we're at this point, so you guys would be a bit peckish. Not the fox, but the rest of you.
Good afternoon. I'm not sure we've properly been introduced. I'm Dash Heidman of the Palperoth Heidmans. Pleasure to make your acquaintance. It seems we're the designated friend group here. I reach out my hand to shake his hand.
I would, from standing in a sort of comfortable position, I won't say defensive, but a comfortable pose in the corner, I will take a moment to kind of analyze what's happening here, look you up and down, not in a sizing you up kind of way, not in a anything that you would particularly notice, just maybe a split second hesitant, and then you would get the most middle of the road handshake you have ever had. Not very strong, not very forceful, nothing that you're thinking, oh, this is like a limp handshake and this is horrible, I need to get off, but just, exactly middle of the road handshake, just enough to be like, yep, this is fine, yep. And I would just say, hi.
And what you get in return is that two-handed handshake, catch you almost by the elbow. Absolute pleasure. I hope we become fast friends.
I swear to God, if you make a Dash joke, I swear to God.
It'll come. Not right now.
It's.
I would just say to him that I'm sure we will, because you said fast friends. I'm sure we will become fast friends. I'm sure.
Wonderful. I'll kind of get the sense that he's not too comfortably being talked to right now, so I'll leave him be. And I'll turn and survey the room.
I think you'd
admire
notice
Chloe's
that I'm turned slightly towards where the tea was just made from whatever position I'm in, and it's like keeping one eye open on that side of the room, particularly where the tea was made.
Speaking of tea, while Hatsu is meditating, he kind of glimpsed the smell of the peppermint.
Yeah, for sure.
And his, like, in his family, like a tea ceremony is like a big thing.
Yeah.
So he instantly feels more home, and he kind of follows, sneakingly silent, follows the peppermint smell.
Hell yeah. Eos, I don't think on your passive you would notice that he's kind of behind you. He's very stealthy, so with your passive, I don't think you would notice. So he's just suddenly there.
And Eos would just hear, like, right next to her ear, like a...
Eos looks over. She's like,
Yeah.
"Ooh, hello." And she's
And
speaking in
he kind of
quick talk.
he kind of makes like his hand in that shape. He bows like a little bit, and he says, "That tea smells, I would say, nice."
Eos looks up
Would
at you.
And he's like, I don't want to disturb your peace, but would you mind show me around and where to do that?
Perfect. Her bookkeeping instincts kick in, and as if a little tour guide, she takes Hatsu down to the little kitchenette area and looks in awe at the magical kettle, going, I don't know.
And Hatsu, that has never seen something like this, he goes, this is interesting.
Perfect.
An eviction notice just shows up in front of Hatsu.
She makes him a cup of tea, and all that's being said from her to him is in quick talk, which she understands is the local dialect of the area that they're from.
Sure. It's a nice thing because both of you, because you live so close together, this tea would actually be quite familiar to both of you. It would be a regional thing, so it's definitely something that appeals to you both. The tea smell is only barely overpowering the chicken smell in the room. But with that in mind, hunger is beginning to set in. Do you guys want to make your way down to the banquet area, we'll call it?
I wonder if they serve peppermint chicken.
The fox suddenly perks up.
Ace goes back to her room, gets her cloak on the hood, and goes back on her heels and had an out.
As
I
we
would
start to
say-
make our way... Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, just
Okay,
quickly,
as-
as we're...
Classic. No, you go
This
ahead.
is the verbal version of, you go this way? Yeah, you go this way?
Oh, it's a revolving door.
Yeah, it's the rolling door, yeah.
I'm gonna
Hatsu.
scamper.
Hatsu, you go first, please.
Okay.
I'm picking my left.
He kind of also takes like notice of the chicken taste, and he is curious if that smell is because chicken has been eaten, or if the fox is a disguised chicken.
I mean, you
And
can do however you want to do this.
He's not actively searching for an answer. He just got that in his mind, and you would just see him like following the fox with his eyes, and
Yeah.
kind of like because he has never seen a fox that acts like that, and he is quite confused why a real fox would behave like that.
The fox is doing that thing that dogs do when like someone approaches, where it's kind of like keeping an eye on you but trying to move away at the same time, but like doing that little scurry. Yeah, like it's definitely a presence that it's not familiar with, so it's a little bit nervous. Slate, what were you going to do at the exact same time as Hatsu?
But right as we're, starting to make our way and people are starting to get ready, I think I would, after about a minute or so, after talking to Dash, I would confidently just walk straight over and then just start saying, apologies, my good man. I'm just not myself today. Not at all.
Huh, I thought he was a man of culture, all right.
That's dope.
What do you make of this place?
Are you talking to Dash?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's curious for sure. I'm not quite sure what I did expect, but it wasn't this. I'm sure we'll learn more as we spend our time here. How long do you think we're going to spend here? Actually, I'm not sure I got that in the syllabus.
Not too long, I hope. I think we can do better, to be honest.
Certainly, I agree. I like your enthusiasm.
I'm very interested to see what they're going to serve and how they serve it.
Anything we want, according to Curtin when he was leaving, so I do fancy a lasagna myself. My mother makes
lasagna, sacrilege. I'm famished, but not that much. I walk away.
While they were talking, Hatsu was picking up on that, and he would kind of from behind them, he would in a mid-tier loudness, he would just speak out loud. You can't fill a glass that is already filled with water. You might have to empty it first. And he just moves on.
Yes, wise words, of course.
You hear the small ringing of a bell, and for a moment you're like, oh, food time, and then you realize it's coming from behind you, and coming from Dash's room, is the fox just tugging along a bell that retrieved from his backpack.
Chicken?
Clever boy. I'll try to pet him and see if I can get the bell off him.
It enjoys the pet until you reach for the bell, and then it jumps back a little bit.
Steal bad.
It starts shaking its head, and just the bell's just going absolutely ape. Ding, 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 ding.
Chicken, would you like me to throw it for you?
It does a weird sort of pounce, and the tail is just wagging, and it spits the tail. That spits the bell out of its mouth.
Well, I'll pick it up, and I'll just do a big looping toss into the air, see if it'll catch it.
It does. With ease. I don't even need to roll for that. Fetch is proficiency.
Oh, such a good boy, Chicken. I'll give him some more scritches.
It enjoys the scritches, and with that, it goes back up into your room and spits the bell on the ground and comes back down.
I will let that fox get away with anything.
That might be. You might have to.
As Magiana walks past Dash, heading down towards the banquet hall, she just taps him on the shoulder as he's giving the scritches with her key and says, you might want to try locking your door. Might help. And she puts it into her side pouch and carries on.
Away, yeah.
Yes, quite a good idea. I'll do exactly that.
On your way to the banquet hall, the smell of food just wafts through this place. It smells like all of your favorite meals mixed together. It smells like roasts, like fries, like every type of possible every Sunday roast you've ever had in your life assembled together into one. It is it's a cacophony of scents. I don't know if that works, but we'll go with it. As you enter the banquet hall, I'll say Hatsu first. You do look over and see Boreal sitting with a group of people looking more comfortable. Like, he's found a little click that he can have and it's okay. Immediately knocks his plate onto the ground, but whatever. You just keep moving. The table laughs and erupts with laughter. It's an easy thing to see. As you guys are walking through, you see people of, like, there's a fair few humans here, but not everybody. Like, it's the same sort of group you would have seen earlier with a few extras that have, like, come along since. You see what would be sort of bird people. You see people that look similar in ways to Boreal, but while he has more owl features, some of them have more raven-esque features, or some of them have more eagle-type features. There seems to be different types. There are smaller minotaur here. There are definitely creatures here that look like more cow-like than they would bull-like. There is one creature here that really stands out, that catches a few of your eyes. It just looks like a puddle of water sitting there. There are... Go ahead.
Would that make the other creatures then mini-tours?
Damn it. How quickly can we end the campaign? Is it too early to end it? There's also people here who look like monkeys in a sense, and some people here with pointed ears and like refined edged features, and there are people here who are quite stocky and short, and there are quite skinny and short, and there are quite tall people here, and there's a very eclectic mix of people here. There's still a majority share of humans, both sitting at the teacher's sort of table at the front, and then at some of these desks and tables around the area.
Other than those... Oh, sorry, go on.
Yes, go ahead.
Could I look around and see, particularly noting the humans, is there anyone that looks particularly uncomfortable?
You'd have to make an insight check, but you can absolutely do that, yeah.
Sure.
Oof.
That's not great. 5.
5. Not really. It's hard to tell. There's too many mixed emotions here. It's a very excited space. And as such, it's very hard to tell. Yeah.
I was going to ask if there was anyone other than the people we've been introduced to that I would know. Is there anyone I recognize?
I don't think so. Because... No, I don't think so. I can't. Okay. I can't really explain why, but no, not here.
No, that's fine. That's fine. It's just she's just checking that there's no one that she would recognize from before that was here.
Absolutely. Yeah, you find a space with 6 seats together, and you guys sit down. This is, as I said, a banquet hall. It's like a Viking banquet hall, if anything, or even associative to like Hogwarts or whatever, just minus the floating candles and the giant talking hat. But there is just a plethora of plates that are empty, but everywhere that someone is seated, the plates are full. As you guys sit down, whatever food you're thinking about appears on the plates. So with that, I'll go in a quick circle and ask what people are eating, because I would be curious to know. I'll start with Eos, because you were the person I went to the first time.
Excellent. Venison.
Oh, damn.
Medium.
Nice.
That's going to be sided with carrots, peas, sweet corn, and mashed potatoes with spring onion inside.
God damn. Nice.
And a glass.
I feel so basic because mine would have just been like a burger.
Like a glass of blackcurrant.
Damn, nice. Absolutely. Slate, what would be on your plate?
I think I would be not in a rush to sit down because there would be so much going on in the room that I would be like a child at the first time at the carnival, just looking at the big wheel and just like not being able to move, just looking at how much things are happening and all the different things and trying to, where do I go? What do I do? Yeah. What's happening here? Maybe not external. Right? Yeah, maybe not externally overwhelmed, but internally for sure overwhelmed. And I think, much like when there was the arrival from the boats and the carriages, I think I would just naturally gravitate to move with the group rather than leading it. So I think I would be unlikely to sit immediately. And I actually think, much like ordering at a restaurant, when people have been there before you, if you arrive last, you feel under pressure. So you kind of look around and just pick what someone else has picked and go, I'll have that. Yeah, so I think I would just kind of hang on a little bit and see what everybody else orders. And then towards the end, just pick one of them going, yeah, that one. That's what I'll have. Whatever that is, I'll have that.
Perfect. Yeah.
So that would be what's on his mind watching these meals appear. He'd be kind of just finding his seat and then looking at what's appearing, sort of waiting for his opportunity to decide, but absolutely not knowing what to go with currently.
Could I add to that and say that if I happen to notice that Slate is kind of holding back that little bit, as nonchalantly as possible, as to keep him feeling comfortable, she would offer him a seat next to her, to try and kind of, not to pull him in with everyone else, but more that she knows how crap it can feel to fill that odd one out. So she's just trying to make sure that they're comfortable.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I don't think there'd be any hesitancy there. I think, once the seat is offered, the seat is taken, kind of thing. Just like a little nod. And then, like I said, just watching all the other plates appear and just waiting to see something that absolutely goes, you know what? That's the one.
Yeah, that makes sense. What I'll say then is, Richard, if you don't mind, when Slate discovers a meal when I'm going to the other people, if there's one that sticks out to you, can you just let me know that's the one? Cool.
I will, of course.
Dash, what's on your plate?
Oh, a nice hearty lasagna to start with. Probably some sort of strawberry sorbet.
Okay, so that's not the one Dash is taking. Got it.
And a glass of red wine. And then just a side of hand-cut chips. Kind of counter to his outward presentation, the food that he's having is relatively simple and homey.
Yeah.
So mostly kind of he likes pastas and carbs. Big fan of carbs. And yeah, maybe some ice cream.
As opposed to the typical experience that most of us would have with lasagna, it doesn't turn into molten lava and burn the roof of your mouth. It's perfectly heated as you go to eat it.
Where are you guys eating your lasagna?
Straight from the oven.
Yeah.
He cooks it himself.
Straight from the oven. Yeah, like it's in the oven and I'm scooping it out from the oven and eating it. Yeah, yeah, it's absolutely fun. Westland, I'll go with you. What's on your plate, pal?
Is it an instantaneous thing when you sit at the table, and does it?
It's not there in a blink. It almost sprouts out of the plate.
Is it mutable once a decision is made, or once a thing comes in your mind, or does it continue to fill?
I think it picks up on your more base wants and needs, so that it's something that's not just a thought, but if you change your mind, it cooperates with that. Yeah.
So the dish changes a lot.
The dish is malleable, yeah.
Yeah, he is looking at other dishes, looking at this dish.
Mm-hmm.
It ranges from at the very beginning, a very traditional looking pie, some kind of meat pie, some kind of gravy sauce, probably a beer, some sort of table beer. But it very quickly kind of waffles through slightly increasingly more exotic dishes, things that are very heavily spiced and fragrant, and bowls of fruit and sweets and fancy meats.
Right.
He stares at this for a while with a expression of extreme glee and abject horror.
Mm-hmm.
before it centers on some kind of strange, like, bites of a spread of things. It's a little
Right.
chaotic. He kind of slumps in the chair and the bench that he's sitting on,
Mhm.
and quietly just kind of shovels, trying not to think of more food, trying not to make this thing do what it's doing more than it is. There is an occasional change to a side dish or to the smell of the drink in his glass.
Mhm.
There is an occasional smirk.
Just like
as if,
happiness.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's happiness. It's confusion, delight, and a great uncertainty.
Right. Right.
He's all over the place. This is quite overwhelming. And if he can do it, he's going to eat fancy and he's going to eat poor.
Right.
And it's going to be the best meal I think he's probably had in a few days. And he's going to eat all of it until it stops giving him food.
It doesn't stop giving you food. While you're there and you're eating, you do feel the occasional sort of paw on your leg. And then just the biggest puppy dog, like I'm talking like Puss in Boots, like deception eyes. Like, do what I'm asking, please.
Oh, I mean, yeah, there's a tip of the plate, like there's unceremonious to the floor, whatever's on the plate.
The rest of you just hear from below the table like it's not like it's as unceremonious sounding as it is in an action. So hell yeah. Dash Westland. Madriana, I'll go with you.
So seeing all these dishes kind of like you said, like sprout from the table, from the plates and stuff,
Right.
and obviously the wafts of different aromas and stuff around, she kind of starts gathering, okay, this is some form of thought pattern, possibly something which takes her instantly back to a time much long ago when she remembers her mother preparing a meal, her father, as brutish and stuff as he could be, also incredibly direct, very dexterous in his hands, and helping her create this meal. And this incredible waft as it starts to sprout from the plate of this beautifully roasted quail.
Oh, nice.
Like a small bird, gently touched with a torch over the skin to crisp it a little bit, and some freshly prepared potatoes and vegetables, and the accoutrement that you would expect with that kind of dish. And she thinks about how
food after this, because that sounds amazing.
and as she looks down and sees this picture of kind of elegance, and remembering that this was a very, very rare treat, because this was an incredible hard thing for them to get.
Very expensive as well, yeah.
Very, very expensive.
Yeah.
Just wonders to herself, how is it so accessible here? And she turns to Slate. Have you ever tried quail?
No, I don't think I have.
Would you like to try some?
Maybe another time. I ate just before we came. I'm not hugely hungry, and to be honest, I'm not feeling very well.
I'm sorry to hear that. If there is anything I can do, of course, let me know.
Is he
I'm
being
sure I'll probably be
truthful?
fine in a while.
I think Dash asked if he was being truthful.
You can make an insight check if you want, but I would say, Slate, you can roll deception or persuasion, but you have to do it, I would say, privately, just to avoid that happening.
Madriana would just slowly take into her quail and savor the taste of it.
Mm-hmm. I actually can't see that either, but Dash got a 12, so you can decide what he knows. That's completely fine with me.
Yeah, you've no reason to believe otherwise. Wasn't, quick to fill the plate, wasn't quick to pour the food and scarf it down. I mean, normally when you're hungry and it smells that good, it's hard to resist. It's more like, when you don't feel well, you see people kind of pawing at their food, pushing it around the plate, like they want to eat it, but they just feel like they can't. It smells good, it looks good,
Yeah.
but it's that kind of vibe you're getting. And I'm just sort of leaning on the table a little bit and just looking a little pale.
Yes,
That's fair
well,
enough.
travel can wreak havoc on the appetite. I often find a cold glass of milk often helps. If you would like my recommendation, not that you have to, of course, but
Based on where you
anything I
come
can do
from,
to-
actually, I'm not sure if Slate would even know what milk is. I don't know if that would be as common where you're from.
I think based on the recommendation, I'd kind of perk up a little bit, adjust my posture, turn to you and say, what a marvelous suggestion, my good man. Perhaps later, when I feel less poorly, I might be able to stomach such a thing.
Certainly.
As the meal sort of comes to a close and wraps up and everybody's just full beyond measure, probably more full than any of you have ever really been, they do credit, first of all, the chef, who is someone who is actually summoning this food for you.
Did Hatsu eat yet?
Was just
Oh,
about
I'm
to
so
say.
sorry,
I was
Hatsu.
about-
Apologies,
I was
Hatsu,
ab-
please.
I
I'm
was
so sorry.
about to say, Hatsu is seeing like some of the plates are vanishing, and he's like,
I'm so sorry, Hatsu.
is this your grade of friendliness here to
I'm
just
so sorry, Hatsu.
leave somebody without food?
It's my grade of forgetfulness. I apologize. Hatsu, what is on your plate, my friend?
Actually, it's a quick meal. Hatsu has.
It's gonna be super quick if I put the plates away. Sorry, go ahead.
It's he has 6 like ping pong ball sized balls
Yeah.
that consist of oat, several nuts, some herbs, and they are all held together by honey, and they made in like this ball shape, and from the outside, to not make it sticky, it's covered in crushed pistachios.
Nice.
And he kind of pulls out like some kind of linen type that he will pull out of his robe, and he carefully puts the balls inside the linen wrap thing, kind of wraps it around and puts it in his robe.
Mhm.
And with the balls together came like a small water skin, like half a liter of water with like a pinch of salt in it.
Mhm.
And he also puts that water skin in his robe.
Nice, yeah.
And he kind of puts his hand in front of his chest and says, "Domo arigato." And that's it.
Nice. The food is exquisite for you as well. You do all eat at the same time. It isn't something where you're all waiting for each person. Everyone eats together.
I'll tell you
but-
what Slate picked when you're
Oh,
ready.
he isn't eating. He stores it away in his robe.
Okay, but like you're all present at the meal and you store it away. That's fine. Yeah. Slate, yeah. What did you want to choose from?
So I think as this was all going on and everybody was, sitting while we were all not accustomed to this and it was a new thing and it was being worked out as we sat down that it was what we thought about appeared. And then obviously at some point while the meals were happening, Slate's meal would have appeared, but then also this conversation about, well, are you hungry and how are you feeling and whatever. I think the food at first probably would have appeared even for a moment to be something resembling, couldn't even explain it correctly, but like a gruel, some kind of a slop. And then quite quickly something recognizable, like plain food, like, you know, bread, water, the kind of thing you might eat if you were sick, just something to settle your stomach, something plain. But then very quickly after seeing all the other foods, the fact that when you can't decide and somebody orders something and somebody might order, let's say, like a small sized tasting platter for themselves, you think, oh, I might have that because if I don't like this, I'll like that. So based on that, he copies Weslin's chaotic plate and takes the same, like a bit of everything on his plate. And in the same way like that is pushing it around the plate, not really eating it, and comes to the conclusion in a similar way to Hatsu, the best thing to do is to put it away. And much like before he had that piece of cloth he put the eyeglass into at some point earlier, he would produce that and take a small portion of a few of the different things and put it in and just sort of gesture to everyone and close it away and just put it away like, I'll have it later when I'm feeling a bit better.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, easily. That's easily accomplishable, and it's definitely something that other people would notice. I think you would take in the sights from each other's plates and stuff, so there is that, like awareness of what each of you is eating, for sure.
May I cut it?
Yep.
If anyone is watching each other while we're eating, you may notice that the way Eos eats, she cuts with the knife and the fork. She puts down the knife. She right hand uses the fork and repeats. That's how she eats. And also she has very pronounced canines in her teeth. They're very beautifully maintained teeth. And that's it. She's stuffed. She then leans back in her chair, looks up at the ceiling once she's finished her food.
Upon the ceiling is a painting of what looks like a day to night cycle. The beginning of the room is quite orange and dawn-esque, and there's like a beautiful sort of color across it, but as it moves across, it moves towards the center of the room, which is quite bright. Because it's sort of arched, but upward as well. In the middle of it looks like the sun, which is lighting this whole room, and then it comes back down and reaches that sort of nighttime, dusk time as well, and there's a few little lamps that are sprinkled across that look like stars.
It's amazing. Could I do a history check to see if I've ever read anything relative to that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. If you want to do a history check, you can.
Thanks. Sort of curiosity.
7.
Not.
No, unfortunately not in this sense, but you do get the impression that it's just a day-night cycle. There may not be anything too in deep about it. It's just something that represents like the beginning and the end of the entire day and the whole cycle of how often you'll be in here and how often you'll be through this process. Everything repeats. That's the concept.
She's in awe. She's amazed by it.
Every so often, Westlin, you notice that the fox is just swiping things from people's plates, and not even necessarily people you know, just around. When they're not looking, it's just like you'll see a little fox head pop up from across the room, and then like move back down again, and then a different table across the room, the fox will pop up and just grab a little bit of food and head off.
Is the fox like inflating at all?
No, it looks very healthy and very thin.
Yeah, there's no controlling that thing. He will pause just to kind of shoot the fox a look. I see you're not supposed to be doing that sort of look.
Yeah.
As he alternates between like fisting foods into his mouth and remembering he needs to use a fork. He can use forks.
Yeah.
Weird. Constant reminder to do so. Grinning sheepishly at everyone else at the table.
Yeah.
While shifting a look over at the chicken, hoping that he doesn't get arrested for petty theft.
You feel like you're one of the only people who notices. Maybe I would say, with the higher perceptions, would be Dash and a Madriana. Actually, it wouldn't even be necessarily Dash. It would be Madriana and yourself. Yeah, you two would notice. Yeah. that would be whether or not either of you particularly care about it in a strong sense, more than just not wanting the fox to be thrown out. That's really it.
I can't stop chicken doing from what chicken does. This is what chicken does.
Yeah. This is what chicken has always done since you've known chicken. This is chicken's MO.
Yeah.
If there's any worry about it, then a Madriana would be taking a bit of the quail and kind of like just under the table. She's quite sneaky. She can, under the table, just kind of waft it about, knowing that Fox is going to come and find it out of her hand.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a thing. Like, Fox will come and take it from your hand as well. Probably not able to necessarily sneak up on you. But, yeah, there is a sense of stealth to what it's doing, because it doesn't want to get caught either.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as the meal comes towards an end, they bring out the chef and they thank them for effectively serving a heroic feast, let's call it. They introduce this gentleman whose name is Sharkub, and this dude is just a master chef. Everything that was cooked today was made by Sharkub. Is there anything you guys specifically want to know before retiring from this place and before the sort of commencement ceremonies begin?
Just a general feel for the architecture in the room.
Are we able to take like a little wander between here and there, or is it like straight after?
You guys are kind of free to do what you need to do around here for sure, yeah.
What did the staff table, what kind of food were they eating?
It was a wide variety of food. It seemed to be mostly localized foods, things that from where they come from and stuff like that. There was a grand selection and a grand spread. There's also a lot more staff here now than there was earlier. You would gather that's probably from the boats that have arrived. There were like only 2 people missing from the initial commencement ceremony. There were people that were already here, but from the overall staffing of this, there are several more faces that pop in, not people that were introduced though.
And the chef, where did he come out of?
It would have been a side door towards the end of the staff table. Would have been down there somewhere.
Okay, I'll just make a mental note of that.
No worries.
In case I want to steal a croissant later.
Youth would think real hard, but
Can't hear you.
can give to Ducky when the time rises.
Okay, you take some stuff to give to Ducky, no worries. Yeah, absolutely, that's no problem. Yeah, so the basic introductions are done when kind of they discuss the repeat of earlier, just for those who missed it, like, thank you for being here, we appreciate it, like, we're going to be welcoming you to your classes over the coming week, we'll be discussing what you need to do and how to prepare. In the meantime, just you have free reign of the castle. Anywhere that you can go, you can go. Anywhere that you shouldn't go is locked, so don't worry about it. It is just quite a general speech. There isn't too much interesting detail more than what you had heard in the initial ceremony, so I'm not going to repeat too much. But you do notice that, like, Remington, he's sort of sitting at the middle of the table, and it sort of goes out from there, and you get the idea that this is just kind of how it always is. Not in a sense of like he feels that he's better than anyone or anything like that, it's just placement, ranking. The people who look like that they've been here for longer, they're wearing kind of robes and stuff like that, they kind of just make their way out of here. The room kind of separates, and then you start to notice a trend in who's here, and there's about 20 or 30 people here that are, we'll call it from year 1, where you guys are. Mm-hmm. Each of you looks down at the table and notices that there's a parcel there, and in there is just a uniform that's fitting to you and your style. Hatsu's would be more traditional, an oriental kind of style, whereas Eos, yours would be more mage-like and mysterious. Slate, yours is slightly interesting because it just seems to be what you needed to be in the time that you needed to be that. Westland, yours is more akin to your natural look. It's not something that would be uncomfortable to you. Dash, yours is very formal. Madriana, yours is very sleek and slender and form-fitting, much to your style. They're all perfectly sized. Not that you need to get changed into them here, but they do fit. There's also a little collar with a bow for the fox, and it's a nice little kind of like an orangey, but a darker orange bow. The only one I would say is Dash, yours is very formal, but it seems a little bit too small. You might have to take this up with someone, talk to them about it. It doesn't seem quite right, but everyone else is pretty much on par.
Can I... Oh, sorry. Can I just lost on for a second?
You're
can I
okay.
look around and just again, I'm kind of looking at the staff table and just to see if anyone in particular is kind of looking my direction. Have I piqued anyone's interest?
Not necessarily someone's interest. Remington, out of all of them, when you're looking across the staff table, he seems to have a smirk or smile on his face, but he doesn't seem to be staring at you in particular. All the rest seem to be busy in conversation, or they might not have seen each other for a few weeks or months at this point, so they're kind of catching up and that kind of thing.
Cool. And I'd be looking to eavesdrop on any of you one outside of the group. Your ones for further up the chain, to kind of get a sense of, their purpose here, or how long they expect to be here.
What do you kind of mean by that? Like, can you go into that a little bit more for me?
In that Dash is coming here with no real knowledge or expectations. He doesn't know the kind of expected time frame to be in this place.
I see what you mean. Yeah, no, that's not something necessarily people would be discussing, but it would be a kind of a school season, if you will. So like, for what other people like you guys would know, who like anyone who kind of received the invitation and stuff like that would know as well, that it's a school season. You'll be here for roughly 9-ish months and you'll be learning stuff. It's a dorms in that process. There will be holidays and times to take off and stuff like that, and there will be a calendar delivered during your week here before you begin, so you'll be able to follow up on that and see what's going on.
Cool.
A rather large person, kind of rotund, gray skin and kind of flat features along their feet and stuff like that. They're very hippo-esque face. They walk over towards you. Hi. I've been appointed to show you guys around. My name is Luna Starfire. You guys can call me Comet. That's my, my hero name.
Sorry, did you say your hero name?
Yes, in third year you will all be eligible to choose your name, your identity. Something that will protect you when you don't want to go out there and do things and people can find like your family or your friends or just.
Of course, that makes.
You've got to protect your personal information. PII, that kind of thing. You don't want any PII getting out there.
Of course, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So, do you guys have any questions about this? This must be all new to you guys. This is great. Good to have you here.
Senpai, I might have a question though.
Oh my God, your voice is deep.
Wait.
Oh yeah, what's up?
What? Do you feel ashamed of your family that you would kind of give yourself another name? I don't quite understand.
Right. We get people like you all the time. Okay, how do I phrase this? When you go out there and you upset people because you're stopping them from doing the things that they want to do, mostly crime or activities, if you were out there and like you were like, hi, my name is, Tony, like Tony Montana or something, and then they're like, okay, well, now I'm going to find the Montana family and, just fucking wreck them. You don't want that to happen.
Yeah, but I don't want it to happen for him because, like, I don't want him to run into my family, I think.
Well, there you go. You want to protect the criminal from your family? Then you need a different name. You can't just be going around going, "Hey, my name's like Gregor Eisenhorn," telling everybody my name is Gregor Eisenhorn. You can't do that. You got to come in with a secret identity, and that's it. That's your whole thing, you know, right? Yeah, it's you protect everybody, right?
Onegaishimasu.
Oh, yep.
I understand that you have to don't tell the truth to protect people from harming themselves. This is very wise.
Yes, exactly. Wisdom surpasses stuff. Anyway, any other questions from any of the other people?
Yes. Are we allowed to leave the boundary of the school?
Anytime. This place is entirely optional. If you need to leave the island itself, you need to arrange pickup. We don't just keep ships here. We protect ourselves here. But we can arrange that. If you don't want to be here anymore, you don't have to be. Yeah.
I meant more that we're allowed to walk outside and around the grounds rather than being stuck inside.
I would take care when going upwards. If you try and ascend the mountain for any of the mountain climbers and stuff like that, it's very stormy. It can be pretty dangerous. But besides that, you're free to roam.
Okay. And one more question, if you don't mind. What is your... how should I put it? Your policies on information shared? Is there things off limits, or is everything you have knowledge to available to us?
Yeah, I mean, we can share information. Why not? I don't know. Like the whole place is kind of unlocked. There's only a few places that are locked away. The treasury, the vault. Those places are locked and sealed. The armory, for logical reasons, is usually locked and sealed unless we have training. Their training grounds are often open, but the weapons and things would be restricted or sealed. Yeah. Besides that, it's pretty much open. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time.
Try not to break into other people's rooms. They don't usually like that too much. Or just don't get caught.
There's a very sly, wry smile from Amagiana as she says that last bit.
You can tell that you're not the first roguelike that she has met. Like, she understands the clothing, the style. Like, she's been here for a while. Yeah. She's the 5th year. This is her final year here, so.
Luna or Comet, which is your preferred moniker?
Comet in public, whatever you want in private.
Comet, then. Who do I speak to about the wardrobe situation? I'll pull out the.
Are you not happy with your uniform?
It's a bit on the slender side for a man of my stature.
Oh, that's unusual. I've been here for 5 years. I've never seen it once come out wrong.
I'm sure it's just one of those things. Parcels get mixed up, you know.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I suppose I can take it to somebody. She just thinks for a moment and she's like, I actually don't know where they even come from. I'll take a look for you.
Only if it's no trouble, of course.
Yeah. I think I stole your accent halfway through.
Seems to be rubbing off on a few people.
Yeah, it's just everyone adjusts to talking like you. I can tell that's going to be a permanent problem in the campaign too, because that's my favorite accent to do. So
that's what he gets arrested for eventually, rubbing off on people, not stealing.
Well, I can happily say
different campaign.
Yeah, I can happily say that is an expulsion requirement. So just play it safe. Yeah, so you she kind of sits down and you guys feel the bow kind of, or like the sort of bending of the entire sort of table that you guys are at. She tries to pet the fox, but like her whole hand is like basically the size of the fox. Do you guys have questions, wants, desires, needs, stuff?
I mean, to be perfectly honest, I don't know what I don't know, if that makes sense.
Do you swim?
I can.
Okay.
Swim?
And she points to a direction on the hallway. She's like, swimming pool, big one. available to everybody. Do you, I don't know, do you train? Are you martial type? Do you like to swing a sword or something?
I'm competent with a rapier. Yes.
She gives you directions, and she's like, "Well, here's the training hall. It's huge. You'll see in the first week anyway. Everyone is brought in and assessed. Names are set up and verified. You're put in the system, and then you get access to like your weapons and stuff that you brought across. And then once that's done, you'll be able to go in there whenever you want. Everyone's power and skill levels will be assessed."
Feels like the big interest at the rapier training facility.
Yeah, there's like in this room is like, she goes on to explain it. I'll just skip ahead a bit because she's destroying my voice.
No worries.
The way it works is that there's a place there for basically everybody. If you use ranged weapons, there's a place in there to train with ranged weapons. If you use magic, there's a place in there to train with magic. If you use swords, there's a place in there to train with swords. If you use like cannons and stuff like that, there's a place in there to train with cannons and everything too. Like whatever your skill sets are, there is something there for you. So if you want to be tied up so you can practice breaking free, there's a thing for that as well. If you want to learn how to crack a safe, there's a thing for that as well. Like whatever the proficiency might be, there's a place and to kind of practice it. Yeah.
And what if one just likes being tied up for the hell of it?
Yeah, not really my thing. I'll connect you with someone who can talk to you more about that stuff.
I'm joking, of course. Just pulling your leg.
Okay, she slips a little bit further away from you.
Major just leans over to Dash and says, "That's when you call her Luna and not Comet." And leans back.
Dash very much struggles to hold his composure at that comment.
Slate would pipe up from the back and say, "Luna,
Yes.
Has anybody ever been expelled that you know of?
Oh, yes.
Thrown out?"
Several. Yes. It happens. If your intentions lead towards, I suppose the word would be the good and the bad, the hero and the villain, you're not even expelled for something like this. To truly be thrown out, it would be something quite heinous. They believe in reformation and trying to put you in the right path here. So people have been expelled and thrown out, but it would have to be like harmful to other students or something that I can't even think of because I probably wouldn't do it.
So nobody's been thrown out since you were here from your year,
No,
the year
no.
above or year below that you would know.
No, we just hear legends and stuff like that. I mean, there are a few people who ended up being raised threats and stuff like that. They would have been expelled. For context, I believe I explained it to you guys when we were starting, but just for people listening or watching. A raised threat is someone who could potentially take down a city or completely raze it to the ground. It's either a magical phenomenon or some large giant creature or even just somebody, like I just mentioned, who came from the school who uses their power for malicious reasons and may be a threat. The biggest raised threat known is the one we talk about in our intro video, which we'll be showing in a minute during our break. The video that Rory made will explain the history of the biggest and first raised threat, one that destroyed the city of Timaroth. So at the word raised threat, you all would get a significant chill because in some way or another, minus Slate, actually, I think, you would all have a very good knowledge and understanding of what a raised threat is.
Well, based on that understanding, I think, or the lack of understanding, I think I would just continue because I would have quite a number of questions that would just come out quickfire, one after the other. As soon as she was finished, the next question was coming. So then I'd be like, anybody ever got sick, been injured, stopped coming, had to leave?
Some people haven't really been able to keep up. The courses can be a bit demanding. Some people choose to leave. There are obviously legends and stories that people have died. This school is over 1,000 years old. These things happen, but whether or not they're just folklore or tales is hard to tell. You would have to talk to someone who's been here a lot longer.
Do we get the feeling that Slate is just looking for a way out?
Richard would be the one to answer that, I suppose.
I would say, having not particularly engaged or spoken, I mean, this is probably the most speaking you've heard, the most animation you've heard as a group, speaking in front of everybody, and, you know, just being loud, articulate, and just clearly looking for information. So
Right.
very interested in the subject matter, you know, not quite hanging on every word, but absolutely engrossed in everything that's being said. And, you know, following the threads of the conversation. So there's clearly some kind of, maybe agenda is not the right word, but a fixation, because everything that's coming out is pushing towards people have left. How have they left? So, like you say, have they left on their own? Have they just stopped coming? Have they been forced to leave? Any version of any way that people actively, casually, or otherwise weren't there anymore is what's being sought after. And stories of, details of, names of any thread is followed in the conversation and pursued until it reaches a natural close. And the second it does, the next pushing and probing question is coming out, looking for the next story, for the next thread.
Yeah.
Just trying to get everything they can out of this once-off acquaintance, almost like when you meet somebody in a pub. It's a fleeting thing. You may never see them again. Just because you're talking to them now and the conversation is flowing, you strike while the iron's hot. So it's not intrusive, it's not aggressive, it's not pushy, it's not uncomfortable. It's just somebody who's really interested in what they have to say and wants them to keep talking.
Yeah. With that in mind as well, I will say that the conversation that they do give you, they don't really have names because it's just folklore, legends, rumors, but they do give you just stories that people, either they don't come at all, or they skip out after a year, 2 years, 3 years. Generally after third year, people stay. So like if you've made it that far, you're usually going to push through the fifth. There aren't that many people that come in every year. So it's only between sort of 15 and 25 is generally the number. 15 is a very rare thing. There's normally about 20 a year that get brought in. These are people who generally would have been watched for a long period of time. So the idea now suddenly comes that some of you got in here through favor. You curried favor and your attention was brought to them. That's one thing. But some of you were approached by this place. And those of you who were, the likelihood is they weren't watching you for a day or two or a week or two. They knew about you for a long time. They assessed you for a long time. And they tried to figure out if you would fit in here, if it would be beneficial to you. They don't want to train people to be raised threats. That's not something they do. They want to understand your personality. Most people who are brought here with a specific mindset or intention. You're brought in here because you can generally handle what's coming. So, like, each year gets substantially more dangerous. People have died actively in their training. That is a thing. As part of the training may be that if a raised threat comes up and you're in 5th year, for example, you may get brought out into the field to try and help. And if that is the case, it might be for example, she explains, for someone who might be a speedster, who might be just really quick, maybe your ability would be more beneficial to help people, get them out, to try and move people, to drag them, to pull them, to do whatever you need to do. If you're someone who can contain power, your ability might be more useful in trying to stop the race threat itself. And if your abilities are just pure destruction, again, you might be laser focused on the race threat itself. But that's not something that comes till later. In 3rd year, generally you get your nickname. In 4th year, you would work on a costume design or something that would suit you so that you can move, you have mobility, things that work in your favor, something that's a little bit harder to hit than the average armor, for example. And you work on different projects and stuff like that. For example, artificers may work on armor, weapons, tools. They may work on robots. They may work on constructions. Sitting at the teacher's table is a warforged. This is something that may be worth looking at, seeing where this thing came from. That's absolutely a possibility. But but basically learning from this, what you're picking up is that you all fall into categories, and those categories, to make it a bit easier to follow, would be D&D terms. You know, paladin, rogue, you know, that kind of thing. These are your skill sets. These are the things that define your abilities and trades. Like a few minute conversation, she would understand that Dash and Amadriana are quite similar, for example, that they would be, like, even if they don't use their powers in the same way, they might be quite similar in what they can do and their abilities, for example. Something like Slate, like, you obviously probably aren't sitting there freely showing off your skill set and stuff like that, but you would be something that would be much rarer around here, because it's not just your abilities. It's who you are that defines this whole thing. So,
and I think Slate having this conversation and being so engrossed in it might not be aware that he's at the forefront of the conversation and everyone else is not talking so much. And as he starts to realize that the last thing that he starts to ask and then realizes and starts to shut down and just go, oh, it's like somebody else kind of, he would kind of look for a vibe check to sort of see, is she genuinely happy? Because she so far seems pleasant, bubbly, friendly, sharing information, being very, very warm, very open, etc. And I think he would look to insight that check to see, is this genuine? Is this like is this like someone's job? Like, oh, this is a thing I have to do. I'm doing it and I'm playing the role well. Or is this genuine? Is this heartfelt? Is this real? Is I guess the thing I'm going for here.
Yeah. You can do an insight check on her. That would probably be the best approach here.
Yeah.
As Slate trails off, there would be a question I'd asked her as well.
That's still private, so you'd have to right-click that and just share that publicly.
My apologies. It was a 4, I'll tell you when I do that.
Okay, that's a 4. You're okay. On a 4, she seems just genuine. Like, she seems really, like, just down to earth, and she really has nothing to hide. She hasn't been specifically trying to hide anything. Nothing that you can pick up on anyway. Madriana, sorry, what were we saying?
Yeah, so if Madriana notices like kind of Slate trickling off into the question and stuff, she'll say to Comet, so what was the last raised threat you knew about?
Oof. She sits down and it's more of she has to emotionally build up to the story rather than her not knowing. The most recent one is there was someone who was actually Hatsu. This would be someone that you are familiar with as well. There is someone that is known as Asmos the Ripper Mage. They are someone who, for whatever reason, is making their way through the borderlands of, we'll just say all of Arboris. They started in Anbundon, which is somewhere that Westland, you just came from there, so you would be familiar with that, but you wouldn't necessarily be familiar with the story. But he is still out there and on the loose, so this is someone that no matter, he keeps showing up as a threat to different cities, and this is someone that Saigo Notoshi would be aware of, that they'd be afraid of him showing up suddenly as well. The first historical record would be something that's known as the Battle of the Blossoms, but she doesn't necessarily want to go into it, so it would be something you'd have to research on your own. But the record of Asmos is it's very traumatic to her, so you get the impression that she may have come from one of the origin places of his story.
Does that name sound familiar to me at all?
I don't think to you necessarily, no. He was is a person of pure malevolence, so he has no problem just killing somebody, killing multiple people, taking hostages, threatening people. He always leaves behind a symbol or a signature, although she doesn't necessarily know what it is. He also was someone who encouraged in Anbundon, there's something going on at the moment that's known as the Steampunk Rebellion. So there are people who believe that the place should be run by industry instead of by nature, and there are people there who believes that nature is the way through it. So there's a big divide there. And the Ripper Mage was somebody who kept pushing that so that it turned to a violent rebellion rather than a soft one. He feeds off of the fear of his name, so like he likes to show up randomly every few years and just cause a lot of chaos, a lot of destruction. This music is way too happy for this conversation. Asmos would be a hooded figure, so it's quite hard to spot because a lot of people, even Hatsu here, is hooded figure. There's a hood, there's a mask. Asmos would be quite the same. The defining thing would be the blue eyes, the glowing blue eyes. Nobody knows who it actually is, so that is the name that it was given. And he uses his magic for very chaotic and dark things.
Could I check, is this the first time that Dash would have heard the phrase raise threat?
No, definitely not from you, because you would have been raised in a city that was you would have been brought up, I should say, in a city that was very aware of raise threats. You are super aware that like Timoroth is a big story for Palperoth, because it was one of the original 3 factions of Palper. That was what became Palperoth.
What I might rephrase it actually, not in terms of would he have heard of anything recently around Palperoth or in Desolata as a whole?
Palperoth is quite safe just given its nature of security. They send out the crisis response unit to deal with race threats. This is a man-led faction, and they are non-magical. They use like weapons and items to try and take down these race threats. Rather successfully too, usually. They try and do a quick response to it as well. From where you are, or from where all of you are, there hasn't been really a sighting or a sign of a race threat in a little while. There are rumors that there were some in the wilds and stuff that were dispatched quite quickly by the crisis response unit, but what happened there, not really. Eos, you would be aware of one from the story of Riker, because Riker would have encountered a race threat, which is how he earned his sword. But whether or not you want to disclose that story is up to you. I'm not going to pour out your story for you. But yeah, that would be, I believe that Eos would be the only one who would be currently aware of a race threat.
Eos is just listening. That's all she's doing.
No worries.
While Comet is talking, I'd like to take note of clothing she's wearing.
Yep.
Dash is obviously keenly interested in clothing of all sorts. How is she dressed?
She.
Luna.
Luna's Starfire. So she is dressed. Symbolically, she actually has a crescent moon on her, like kind of chest or whatever, and she's wearing quite a sort of a heavier, robe-ish kind of thing. It's not like a leather armor or a big armor. It's more like robes or something like that. That specifically she would be using, but she symbolically represents the moon.
Cool. Just an attempt to lighten the conversation, then Dash would say to her, your outfit, it is, I must say, rather dashing. I very much like it.
How do I kick him from the campaign? Is it just, can I do that from here, or?
Is it a group vote? Because I put my hand up.
Yeah, hand up.
There's an audible sigh from the table. Let's just do it that way. She's like, oh, thank you. Yeah, it's when you're in 3rd year, you'll pick your name, and in 4th year, you'll pick your aesthetic.
Oh, wonderful.
Would you guys like a tour of this place, or do you want to go to bed, or?
If you don't mind, I really have to go to the bathroom. Can we just go to the rooms?
Absolutely. What we're going to do is take a break now in a second anyway. I'm going to differentiate there at the table. Is there anything else that you guys want to ask her quickly before we separate from there then?
I just want to get directions off for the library, that's all.
Yeah, there's a huge library, so she gives you directions for the library as well. A lot of the stuff's on the 1st floor. This is where most of the classes and stuff are. It seems like up further is dorms and stuff like that, and then different things. There's also an underbelly to this building as well.
If possible, Comet, I wouldn't mind taking some beverages and perhaps some light snacks to the room. I feel like this grouping needs more of a social setting to get to know each other a bit better.
Oh, you just ask for it in the room, on the plates by the kettle that makes your water.
Oh, magnificent!
I mean, you can bring it with you if it's better for you, but
well, why carry when it can be delivered?
Yes, of course.
Wonderful.
Indeed, Dash. Marvelous observation.
Did your voice change?
Thank you.
What we'll do then is we're going to take a little break for about 10 minutes. I'm going to show our awesome video that Rory made. and show that off a little bit. And we will be back in, like 10 minutes.
Yes.
Everyone will have be a little bit clearer, mind and body. So,
Speaking of sport.
that's it. All right, we'll see you guys shortly.
In a minute.
Long ago, in the world of Araness, magic once danced in the air and coursed through the veins of every being. It was a time of grandeur, but also of chaos, as people vied for dominance using the essence of magic itself. This contest of powers led to the Fracture, a cataclysmic event that shattered the weave of magic, leaving the world broken and alone. As the dust settled, Araness was born once again, but at a great cost. Magic vanished, not to whisper in the wind for over 75 years, until the birth of 4 individuals who would come to be known as the emissaries of Paragon. These heroes became the defenders, wielding magical abilities to protect these lands. Yet in their final battle, known as the Battle of the Emissaries, their power nearly raised the world anew. The city of Timaroth was obliterated, and with it, the heroes and their legacy. Now, over a millennia later, magic is a rare curse, feared and regulated by those in power. The world stands at the crossroads, haunted by its past, yet there are those who are yearning for a future where magic and peace can coexist. As our tale unfolds, the weave of magic stirs once more, hinting at a renaissance. There are those who believe that this is a sign that they are doomed to repeat history's darkest day, possibly on a scale that fractures the world itself. Araness is on the cusp of a new era, one that could potentially be of harmony, or one that threatens to plunge it into chaos once again. Our story begins here, in a world on the edge of change, where new heroes are destined to rise, shaping the fate of Araness and its magic forevermore. Join us as we embark on this journey through these lands, where legends live and die by the sword, where every choice echoes through the annals of time, and the fate of the world hangs in the to the Wandering Isles. We are back. We are live. Excellent. So you guys wanted to go back to your room, was it?
Ius would like to go out to the stables first.
Okay, that's an easy one. You make your way down to the stables.
As she's going,
Yeah.
would you care for some company, or would you prefer to go yourself?
She looks over to Dash and just says you can come along. Doesn't say anything.
Nice.
Accompany you, it's a strange place. I know we're not exactly well acquainted, but you might feel more comfortable with someone watching your back.
Perfect. Yeah, so you guys, I'll start with you then. You guys make your way down to the stables. There are dozens and dozens of horses that are here. It's quite a large stable. You're not the only person who brought a horse, and there were horses here for transport, for travel. They are very well maintained, taken care of. Ducky's in a very nice stall, quite wide, has water, has has food, has hay, has access to straw to sleep on, and hay bales and stuff to eat off of. Everything is amazing. There's a little button that's there, and you sort of lean in, you push it, and a carrot comes down, so you can give a carrot to Ducky as well.
Absolutely amazing. He is looking over at Dash, points Ducky with her full hand and goes, Ducky.
Beautiful animal. I do love horses. They're very majestic. Apologies, I'm not sure I got your name on the drive over. I think I heard you refer to yourself as Eos. I'm Dash. I'm sure you heard me talking quite a bit to the others, but pleasure to meet you. I've never met someone of your particular complexion before, if that's a polite way of saying it.
Lovely to meet you too. I was born with it.
I assumed as much. This is your horse then, Ducky. Have you had this fine beast for very long?
Ducky is doing this thing that horses do with its lips that's just clawing onto the fabric of your leather. It's just like it's getting saliva a little bit on it, but it's kind of like pulling the leather.
I'll turn to kind of just pet under the chin and trying to
this.
just try to please don't eat that. My mother made it.
He looks down at her hand. She goes, 8 moons? 8 moons, Ducky.
Ducky doesn't do anything. Just kind of keeps trying to eat the leather a little bit.
Interesting name. How did you come to name a horse Ducky? I mean, I gathered how the fox was named Chicken, because I'm not sure if that young chap...
This must be very confusing for Dash. He just keeps meeting animals that are named after other animals.
I gather he just kind of fell into the name Chicken. But how does a horse come to be named Ducky?
Oh, it was an interesting day. I was babysitting my neighbor's daughter, and you can tell Elias is kind of hesitating in some of the details. Feeding ducks on the horse. Called the horse Ducky.
Sense. That's as good a name as any for a horse, I suppose, and it does seem to suit her.
You can tell in her hesitance there might be a bit more to the story, but she's not gonna leave everything out.
Shan't probe. Just pet Ducky and push the button for another carrot and give it to Ducky.
It does eat the carrot very wholeheartedly.
Magnificent. But should I step back and give you some space with the horse?
She looks down at the ground, if you wouldn't mind.
Of course. I'll step back just out of earshot to give them some time.
As you open the stall, there is a brush in there, and it's like this glove that you put on that has these spikes, so you can clean the hair on it and stuff like that, and it kind of just helps you clean the horse. There are tools there for cleaning the hooves and stuff like that too, brushes and things that you can kind of dig in and get the dirt out of. But the main sort of takeaway here is that the dirt that would mostly be things that were brought with it, because here the sands are very smooth and soft and don't really create that much of a mess on Ducky.
He spends about 45 minutes grooming, feeding the food that she took from the kitchen place to Ducky.
Yeah.
Her way she is kind of brightens up a bit after that point. And she's happy to head back in.
Okay. You both make your way back along the sort of sands and into the place. There are people moving about, but it's much quieter now. A lot of people have probably got food coma going on after such a big meal, so most people have retired to their rooms and are just chilling. As you guys approach, what's everyone else doing?
On the couch. In a food coma.
You lay down on the couch, the fox lays down on top of you, sprawled out. The double food coma.
As we were heading up, a Major Honor says to Comet, I noticed with my robes that they hadn't been quite adjusted as necessary. Maybe they were unaware. I'd need them to have the back section more open so that I can leave my pack on.
She nods. She takes a look at the sort of the thing, and she lifts it up, and then as she holds out the actual like armor itself, or like the overcloak of armor, there is actually a sort of 2 slits along the back, and then a cloak that goes over it to cover it with 2 sort of, it's almost like Velcro that can kind of click onto itself to create a covering. So it is there, it just isn't as obvious. It's more discreet. And the fact that you didn't notice it would mean that it does its job quite well. Yeah. As I said to your friend, it's a little unusual to get these things not prepared just for you. Yeah.
Yeah, I must admit, it seems to be that you are rather efficient here than what I would be usually used to.
Place runs on magic. Yeah.
Is it from the land or from a person?
No, there's a team here that work very hard to make sure that everything is ready for everybody. This place runs like clockwork in such a way that it just looks like it happens, but everything has thought into it.
Curious. So there's no one source of power then?
No. There are people who are responsible for food, people who are responsible for cleaning, people who are responsible for just general maintenance, taking care of this place, putting it together. They're responsible for building it up higher. As we move through the ages, more and more people are discovered with abilities, so we need more space.
And how is it this place has remained uninhibered by the Isles?
Oh, it's just very well protected. It's not an easy place to find.
There's a slight bit of comfort in that from Adriana.
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost exactly what she wanted to hear, to be fair, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to my training.
Yes, I'm looking forward to seeing what you can do in initiation, yeah. Make
By
sure
the
you...
way,
Yes.
what are your skills?
She holds her hands out and she smiles like she was waiting to do this, and she just sort of rubs them together, and then it's like almost like Jubilee from X-Men. A spark of light just flies off. She creates energy and light just with thought, basically. I can do it much larger than that, but not in these hallways.
That's very impressive. Certainly more than I believe I'm able to achieve, but I guess we'll see how the days go.
We're all made for a purpose. Each of us are different for a reason.
So, there's belief that the reason we are the way we are is for something.
I believe
not a curse.
if you stick to it, in 5 years, you'll be leading a class or a group around, and you'll be showing them your skill set, and they will be like, that's not what I can do. Everybody's different. Everybody's impressive in their own way.
Yes, but aren't we all meant to be, and I hasten to use the word, but aren't we all meant to be normal?
Well, I guess that depends on where you come from. Being different here is widely accepted and a good thing. Being, as you say, normal in certain places might get you further, but you don't have to go to those places if you don't want to. Everything's a choice. There are places out there for people like us. Take a look for Gum Galore. That is a place that you'll always be accepted no matter how you look.
Is it as hard to find as this place?
Yeah. It's on the Isles themselves, where they cannot be bothered and cannot be touched. But there's a lot of people just like us. She sort of knowingly pats your back, but you get the impression she was probably given a briefing of who she'd be dealing with. Like, so
Yeah.
she doesn't have that much of a surprise about what's going on. She knows how to help you, what to look for. Again, information was fed through before you guys were even brought in here. There was clearly some sort of background decision-making process on if you should even be brought in here, when you should be brought in here, that kind of thing. Of course, depending on how you got your invitation and what strings were pulled.
So as she goes to do the pat as well, there is a very quick but slight hesitation from Adriana.
Yeah.
To even allow it, but then kind of resets herself back into the position she was in.
Just an initial
So
hesitance.
that-
Yeah.
Well, let's hope that one day that is the case, that I am showing people around.
While Hatsu was watching, while they were climbing up the stairs, after she made the light ball, he kind of, after they finished their conversation, he kind of leans into towards Comet, and he is looking in her eyes, like from the angle that he can, and he goes, "Have you ever made a bee? Maybe a golden
A bee?
bee?
Like the letter B or the insect bee?
No, more like the insect, but she had a very golden touch to her."
Not that I'm aware of.
Hmm.
I might be confused about what we're talking about, but not that I'm aware of.
If you ever find yourself surrounded by nature, you should look for the golden bee.
She just leans back towards him, Adriana. Yep.
And Hatsu is fucking, you wouldn't see because of his mask, but he's smiling like a child that has seen the Christmas present before Christmas, and he kind of knows.
Perfect. As you guys enter the room, at least Madrana, Hatsu, and I think that was with them. You find Westlin on the. I don't know where Slate was. Yeah, I'll come to him in a sec.
I'm there with you guys. Yeah.
Oh, you're there as well. Okay, yeah. You find Westlin sort of food combing with the fox. It's a nice sort of smell in here again. It's not just greasy chicken. It's cleared up. Bit of peppermint. Yeah.
I would say to everybody, it would be obvious that Slate's bout of feeling poorly is obviously beginning to pass, because when you feel sick, you're kind of... He was paler earlier. He was a bit slower. Now he's standing up straighter, as if he's almost taller. The color has come back to his skin. He's almost looking like a completely different person. He just looks really fit, healthy, happy.
Nice.
It's obviously passing.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. A few moments later, then I would say probably a little while longer than that. Actually, like probably an hour later, Eos and Dash return as well, because they were taking care of Ducky and brushing and stuff.
I'd say then in that interim, Madrana would have definitely gone to Slate. So, friend, what's your deal? Why was you brought to this place?
I'm not entirely sure. I'm still trying to figure that out.
Were you asked to come then, or did you find your way here?
I think with everything in life, you find your way. I guess I was asked and I found my way.
From what I've been told about this place, you generally only get an invitation if they see something, even if you don't. I'm
Well, I
looking
don't know.
forward to
I don't know what they saw, but if you see it, you let me know.
I am looking forward to seeing what you're able of. Look around this room and the people we've met, and some seem like they might be quite obvious as to what they might be at. Some try to hide it better than they think they can. Right now, you're truly the only one that has actually got me kind of perplexed.
Well, I think it's fair to say right now, this is new ground for all of us, and we're all trying to figure out our purpose and where this leads us. So that's something we all have in common.
Absolutely. That is something I will most heartily agree with you. Now tell me, from your little package that you brought back from the hall, did you try the quail yet?
I would take out the little package that I have because I presume, like I said, we're in the common area. So I would take it out and spread it on the coffee table, a counter, a flat surface. Just
Chicken's
neatly,
ears are like laser focused.
neatly unpack it slowly and just, unfold it, smooth it out, and push everything equal distance away from each other on the piece of cloth, and just sort of gesture like, have at it. There's a little bit of everything.
I'm good. Thank you.
So in the same way I took it out, I would just reverse it back up, slowly push everything back together, slowly fold it back over, neatly tie it up, bundle it back up, put it in my pocket.
You
And
hear
then
a
I'll
huff
just
from the
say,
fox as it puts his head back down on the couch.
I'm gonna say, when I do try the quail, I'll let you know.
Do. It is an acquired taste.
Oh, I knew you were gonna say that. That's never good.
What I mean by that is, don't get too used to it. At least once you're out of here, it becomes a very expensive proposition to want to keep up.
In my experience, when somebody says it's an acquired taste, anywhere I've heard that, that means you don't eat it. 100%. Any tavern I've been to, and you're like, "What's that? Mystery meat?" It's an acquired. You just don't eat it. So I'm not gonna lie, you've definitely put me off quail.
That's fair. I will also ask though, where have you come from that you might have to worry about what's being served in the tavern?
I'm not a great cook, and neither were they. So when the person cooking your food's not a great cook, you always worry about what's in it.
I'd say that it's probably kind of more obvious than she'd like it to be, but for a second or two on Amadriana's face, there's a real face of like puzzlement at the idea of you have to worry about the people that are cooking for you. I must try some of this tavern food from these places that you suggest. Be interesting to see how bad it is.
Based on what I smelled downstairs, this is good. You don't even want to smell the stuff that I'm talking about. There's a reason you don't eat it.
So you've had a hard life.
I've just had some bad food.
Well, yes. If you do manage to pluck up the courage to try it, despite my failed attempts of encouragement, let me know what you think.
I will.
Luna
Good
nods to you all and says that if there's nothing else, she's gonna go to bed. But if you do need her, it's not hard to find her. She's usually somewhere near the training areas. You can find her if you have any questions, and she will check in on you regularly as well.
There's one thing Hatsu's going to do when they arrive at the meeting hall thing, because he heard that one of the advisors told them that they can summon in food on a plate.
Yeah.
And since he never had chicken, he was only smelling chicken the whole day, but he wouldn't break his diet. He's curious if he can make one of his power balls, but with the smell and taste of chicken.
Yeah, with ease. That is summoned forth.
So he goes to the plate and kind of takes the ball and he goes,
Behind the couch is facing like away from you, but like over the couch, these two little ears just pick up, and these little eyes just like.
And Hatsu kind of is always trying to check his surroundings and stuff, and he kind of does it in a way that he wouldn't prevent people from surprising him. So he kind of gets like a gut feeling that somebody's watching it, and he's very fascinated from that food, and he goes like, and he kind of puts it left and right and kind of tries to hash who's kind of looking, and then he just stops and just throws the ball behind him.
Like there's a very quick as the fox just catches it, like no pressure, no stress.
Yeah, and he kind of likes the idea that he can eat something that would taste like meat, but isn't meat, so he wouldn't break his diet.
With this conjuring of food, or I don't know what you call it, appearance of food, presumably that's something that I would easily notice.
Oh yeah, and conjuring would be the exact word you would want for this. Yeah, conjuring of food.
Yeah, and I think again, much like somebody, when you have a thumping hangover and you feel terrible, you get waves of nausea, waves of, oh, I feel great, and then you're like, it's all gone now, and then 2 minutes later you just feel rotten. I would say, Slate's demeanor starts to change. That kind of pale grey face is coming back, that slower movement that he looks like he could just get sick at any minute is starting to creep back in. He's starting to look poorly again, and that rallying, whatever it was, seems to have visibly faded, I would say.
Yeah.
How different is this change? Like, is it like me going from like to like, or is it like is there actual physical change?
Well, like I said, the way I explain it is, it's literally, when you can see in someone's face, they say to you, oh, I don't feel well. You literally look in the face. You're like, you look grey in the face. You have that kind of green tinge. It's like that. The skin color, you can see the feeling of unwell, like the tone and the pigment in the skin is changing. You can see it. It's visible in the face that like they're clearly unwell. Like when the blood drains, when you start to feel faint, you feel a bit dizzy, the face becomes a bit pale because the blood has gone internal. It's that kind of thing. You can see it, you can feel it. But even the movement and mannerisms, like when you have that hangover, you have that headache, you get that kind of vertigo vibe. When you move too quickly, you kind of catch your head, you find yourself moving slower, more deliberate movements, trying not to set it off. It's like that. So it's visual in the skin, but it's also visual in the movements and the mannerisms that he's clearly not feeling well, because you can see it. Even if you weren't looking for it, even if you were behind him and at a glance you would see he's clearly not feeling well. Not everything about it is obvious. None of it is hidden. Like I said, if you walked into a room and saw somebody, the morning after the day before in a very bad way, it's really obvious. Even the way they speak, the pacing of what they do, everything, it's there. Okay. So it'd be the same.
Would, on that basis then, Roper, would there be any knowledge, especially for Madriana as I'm asking it, like, of anything like with say like undead or vampiric or anything like that? Is there any like identifiers that seem familiar to her that's like, oh, okay, maybe keep an eye on this kind of thing? Or is it just like a sick person?
Whilst they wouldn't be necessarily common undead or vampires, but they may be legends and lore that you've picked up on, I would say we're going to do a history check here to see if we can discern something.
Okay. That would be a 23.
Wow. Well, you've definitely heard of things like vampires and undead. It wouldn't be something that would be like you would associate to reality, but there's something that you hear in the way he's describing and the way he's looking and the way he's sounding that would line up to that. Yeah, like that pale experience, that kind of aversion to food. Yeah, there's just something there that's, yeah, you could consider to be akin to the undead of stories that you've heard before, and vampires, which also fall into the category. Yeah.
Okay. So, although she doesn't have any distrust of this person at all, it would definitely be something she'd keep an eye on to make sure that it's not something that can turn bad quickly.
Right.
And the fact as well that it seems that he's been invited here means that there's obviously something more to them, but it's still something that should be very aware of.
Cool. Right. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing inherently that you've seen that would stand out as particularly evil about.
Oh, no, she doesn't feel like it's bad. More curiosity, learning, like everything she does, everything she says is about trying to learn more about the people she's talking to and the things she's looking at. So this is her just gathering as much information as she can.
Richard, on that note, is there anything that you would like to sort of add to that sensation? Because we're describing your character. If there's anything you want to sort of contribute to that, you feel free.
Nope, I'm totally happy. I think I've been as accurate with the visceral, you know, what you would see in the face, in the demeanor, in the movement, the actions. It's very relatable. I mean, we've all been sick at a time. We've all seen someone like that. We've all been in that position. It's there. It's in your face. It's there.
100%.
Slow moving, but in your face.
Yeah. So he looks sick. Like,
100%. Like I said, pale, drained, kind of that grey in the face when you say to somebody like, "Are you really tired? Are you really sick?" Or, you know, usually you question somebody, even they say nothing to you, you kind of go, you know.
Just to demonstrate his art and stuff might be a good moment to show that, to demonstrate the kind of grey appearance and stuff like that. Yeah.
The symptoms look at all like something that could be treated with herbs, ski. Wasn't just running through just a brief diagnostic.
Is Weslin saying any of these things out loud?
No, I'm sure, as you've noticed, he's not quite good with words. He's just looking you over. He's running diagnostics. He's thinking back to...
Well, his fans could do with being cleaned, and the monitor's a bit flickery, but other than that... no, he's... sorry, different diagnostic. Sorry, I got pulled back.
Different diagnostic,
sorry. So he... Like, in terms of what you've experienced and what you've gone through, I don't know if there's anything necessarily akin to what you've experienced, and you have experienced obviously quite a substantial amount. This is something different or new to you. That is probably ringing a few bells individually, but not entirely, if that makes sense.
No one in the village ever had these sort of symptoms. Not
this sort of symptom, no.
Well, you can at least do the general cure-all. That at least will settle the stomach, alleviate headaches, warm the blood, and encourage good sleep. Don't think I stole anything from where I came from. Maybe the plate can do something?
Maybe the witch. Sorry, you're cutting in a little bit. Yeah, cutting in and out. Sorry. Maybe the
plate in the corner. He wants to know. Can he conjure
the plate.
something?
Sorry, can he conjure something? Yeah, the plate you could. You could try. Like, what the limitations are of the plate is not currently known. So
Weslin rolls off the couch.
chicken rolls off the couch.
Yeah, a bit of a thud as he lands on his hands and knees, and kind of shuffles over to the plate, trying to remember what the
Is
concoction
Satsu still
was.
standing there? Is Satsu still by the plate? You're just like, what the hell just happened? His child just appeared.
Put my hands on the plate. I'm going to think about what Mom would make. What
Yeah.
she would people.
Oh, yeah. Interesting. Yeah, so her sort of thing was that she was quite herbal. She was like quite good at using homemade remedies. A very natural person. So yeah, I'll say you think about it, and rather than a whole bunch of like medicine or something appearing, more like leaves and stuff appear that you could make a tea with. That would probably be more likely what appears. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I don't take it that far. I just hand the plate to him and I say, "Eat."
Just hands you a pile of like vegetable, like plants and flowers and shit.
Have you ever had the experience when somebody, like, let's say a toddler is like, I don't know, eating a cracker and they slobber all over it, it's wet and it's falling apart, and then they decide that you should eat it, and you're kind of like, oh yeah, lovely, I'll definitely have that. It's kind of like that because I'm not feeling well. I definitely don't want it, but I'm not trying to be rude, so I'm doing that thing with the toddler where I'm like, yes, I'm going to take it, I definitely want it, just not this second. So I take it, but I'm not taking it and eating it or doing anything with it. I'm just like, yeah, I will definitely do something with that in a minute.
100%,
Thank you very much. Genuine appreciation. Brilliant. Just definitely cannot right now.
Not this second. Right.
Yeah, definitely not this second.
Make blood good. Head clean. Heart warm.
Just everybody's very silently like, I want to take that moment of everyone being silent here and put that into the game where everyone's just watching, like, he could talk. Like
Are myself and Eos back at this point?
yeah, I'd say by now you're walking in. Yeah.
Cool. The Dash would be walking straight over to the table, and summoning a bottle of wine for himself, and he turns to the group. You're all quite quiet. Shall we have a toast? What would anyone fancy for libations?
Eos has taken off her shoes and head up to her room.
No problem.
I'll
Wes will
take
go
a
sit.
single malt if you have it.
I'm sure we could scrounge one up, and I'll try to summon that from the table as well.
No problem. A nice glass, like a proper glass. Like, do you want it neat on the rocks? How do you want it?
It has to be a crystal glass on the rocks.
Perfect. It is exactly like that. Yeah.
I'll scoop it up and I'll hand it to Madriana. The rest of you, Hatsu, any beverage of choice for yourself? Some nice tea, perhaps?
You're on mute.
Hatsu's still kind of fascinated by the plate, and he's kind of looking under it and tries to figure out what that thing is about. And in his mind, he's like, I hope they don't get these things at home, because then we would get rid of Onimatsu, and he's such a good cook. And he turns like to Dash, and he was like, I'm sorry, did you say anything?
Just offering you a beverage. I'm having some wine. Madriana here is having a single malt. Would you care to partake in anything yourself?
goes like, arigato. And he just holds that position and he doesn't say anything more.
Okay, I'll take that as a tea, maybe some.
At this point, I'd interject, and like that, when you're slumped on the couch, you want to get up and you want to get yourself water, but you know it's too much effort. Then someone else is like, "Do you want?" I'm like, "Water, a big one, like a tankard, a flagon, like a big one."
Consider it done. I'll bring that to.
You turn to it, and the fox is leaning against the tray, and a chicken leg appears, and it takes it, and it just like walks away.
Ah, that explains quite a lot. Weslin, I think. Would you like a drink? You're quite young, so I would assume maybe some apple juice. Perhaps?
Just a large ale or something.
Beer good.
Beer? Sure. What the heck? And give him a beer.
That's the night that Dash went to prison.
Yeah.
That was quick.
Because Satsu is too shy to kind of say that he doesn't want to participate in things like that, he is trying to sneak away in his room.
You and the fox just leave. Eos is gone. Like, as soon as Dash is like, we should have drinks, everybody just goes.
And Wes is sitting there like, they have it in pints.
Yeah, right. Whatever.
I'm getting one. I propose a toast then to our search of knowledge in this institution. May you all fare well. I'll just raise a glass.
I presume I have my tankard of water at this point for this toast. It's one of those, I really want it, and then as I go to have it, I'm like, nope, not yet. Nope, definitely not.
Do we still have our equipment on us?
Most of it. The weapons would have been taken away, but other than that, yeah. But that weapon, the weapons and stuff will come back, yeah.
Okay.
Oh no. And when Ryan does that, something fucked up's about to happen.
You mean other than giving beer to a teenage? You know what? That's
Yeah.
Again, probably not the weirdest part of today.
Yeah. As we do the toast and take a sip and pull back from it, from Madriana's bag, which is actually more like a, like the record bags, the side hitching bags rather than a backpack. That's how hers is. She pulls out a piton and she throws it at Dash.
Okay.
Just like knocks him the fuck out.
She's trying to test how quick he is.
Dash, how do you want to respond to this?
I mean, if I see it, then I would just simply jerk my head back out of the way.
Okay. What we're going to do here is I'm going to do grapple rules just to make this a bit easier. So you can both make either an acrobatics or an athletics check to see if this hits. Highest one succeeds.
Oof.
Oh. I mean, Madriana.
That's for you, Blue Nessie.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Madriana, do you want to tell me what happens here?
So we like I said, we take the sip, and she's literally watching him through the bottom of the glass as well. With the other hand, slightly just pulls it out, and then just flicks it at him. But I'm gonna aim for a part of his armor that I know could take it. That it's not gonna damage it, but it's not gonna penetrate either. Like, I'm just trying to test reflex. I'm not trying to hurt.
It was a nat 20, so I'm going to go above and beyond slightly. You do that, and it ricochets off and just smashes the bottom of the glass that he's holding. Like, he's just holding the rim of the top of the glass. The bottom just falls out. Oh, the bottle. So you had a bottle. The bottom of the bottle just falls out.
Sorry, I thought you might have been quicker than that.
What on earth are you doing?
Did you not know our training started already?
I don't know what sort of training you're doing, but what does waste good red wine like this? That's incredibly rude.
I walk up to the the plate or the counter thing, and I request another bottle of what he's having. I take it over to him. I'm sorry. I just assumed you to be a bit more spry, that was all.
I'm afraid not.
I'm afraid so too.
For once, lost for words. Adriana, I expected better of you. I'll take the bottle and I'm going to my room.
Then you obviously need to get to know me better.
You go to pull the handle down and your door's locked.
Mm-hmm.
I'll unlock it.
You go in and the room is ready for you as per your request. And on the bed is your unpacked bag and your suit is there, and the fox is curled up eating chicken on top of your suit.
Big greasy patch right in the middle of it.
100%.
I was very visibly upset by the loud smashing of a glass very in close proximity, because that is very upsetting for so many reasons right now in my current state.
Absolutely.
Same.
Okay.
I'm gonna give this fox some scritches.
Apologies to everyone. I didn't mean to startle anyone. I will leave you to your evening. And the Madriana will also head to her room, grabbing another glass of whiskey first on the way up, unlocks the door and enters.
As you enter, there is a balcony present for you, Dash. There's a small wine cabinet there with an armory for your an armoire, for your suits and for your weapons and stuff. The weapons are not present yet, though. Each of you has what you asked for. There's only 2 people who don't. So Slate, you have an option sheet is there again for you. You can just put it away. You don't have to do anything. And Westland, your paper is there as well, folded and present for you, but there's nothing major has changed for you. But the room does seem more to your liking in terms of there's a little bit more nature present, and there's a little bit more light coming through the window, and it doesn't feel as stuffy, and the bed has been changed. There's a nice section for you to sit and relax, even if it doesn't make sense to you or if you don't understand. It's just there for you. Somebody has taken it upon themselves to try and make the room for you, but there isn't anything to your requirement or to your request, I should say. So you should, I guess the option would be to ponder what you might need over the coming time.
I think he stays downstairs. He stays on the couch.
Okay.
In the larger room, in the open space.
The fox sleeps on the mat upstairs.
Oh, I'm sure it does. It's it's a creature of comfort.
Yeah,
it's the fox's room. No, I think Wesson makes his home in the living room on that couch.
Yeah,
by the hearth.
Hatsu, your window has moved to the left. The bed has been removed, but there is a mat there. That would be akin to, say, like a prayer mat or something that's quite good for your knees and stuff like that. It's padded, but it's not it's kind of ornamental, if that makes sense. It has a beautiful design on it that would be known to you. You do have a chest waiting for you. You have a stand for your weapons, but the weapons aren't present. You do have a bottle of rose oil that's sitting there, and it's very high quality rose oil as well. It's clearly something that professional blacksmiths would use. And there are sharpening stones there, along with a sharpening wheel that gives you the options for how you would like to work on your weapons. Yeah. Madriana, as I said, you have the balcony. Dash. Sorry, go ahead.
I will say with that, then when she walks into her room, she'll turn around, back around, lock her door. She'll head over, open the balcony doors, and stand out at the balcony, feeling that breeze against her skin.
You feel the sea breeze as well. It's got a chill to it, but in not a bone-chilling way, but in a cold, nice way. You're in a warm room. There's a cold breeze.
Yeah, but this would also be a lot more of a fresher breeze than what she'd be used to.
Yeah.
A much more clearer sky and clearer air.
You may not have ever really seen the stars. This is the first time you would have seen them. Yeah.
With that in mind, she takes a look round to see if there's any possible rooms that would be able to overlook her standing at the balcony here.
When you look out the window, there isn't anything that that stands out to you, because it's not where you would expect your balcony to be. It's much higher on the castle.
Okay. So then if there is no overlook to her, she'll kind of,
You can
when
look down,
lean
but
against the
you look
balcony
like you're
bars-
30 or 40 stories tall. You don't look like you're one
Okay.
floor up. Like,
Perfect. Yeah, she'll lean on the balcony bars as you would when you're kind of having a drink and stuff. Drink in one hand.
Mhm.
And then with the other hand, she'll reach up and she'll unclip the mask and take it off and just put it down to her side. And just stands there enjoying the evening air with her drink.
Eos, your room has purple, beautiful velvet drapes, and a beautiful rope that's around it. You have a stunning rug that is just, it's very ornamental in the way it looks. It has a beautiful design on it, but what catches your eye the most is that there's a sort of patch on it that looks a lot like Ducky that's present on it, so that it's always part of the place for you. There is a table full of teas that are herbal and that they are designed like to your specifications, things that you would drink, things you didn't even know existed outside of your town, to be honest with you. The bed frame is gone, the mattress is on the floor and has been replaced with a much nicer mattress. That's one that's kind of, it goes up a little bit, so it's like kind of got these little ramp things on it, and then it's quite flat at the top. The whole room smells like lavender. You think it's actually coming from the curtains themselves. There is a throw over that's above the mattress, the mat that you have there, but the throw over can be used in multiple different ways, whatever way you choose. Again, it suits the style of your robes. It actually looks very similar to your robes, to the way they would. There are only candle lights in here, and there is an hourglass that's present, and it is ticking down for you in a sort of soothing way.
Perfect. He just walks around the room, deep breaths in. It smells like home to her. It smells like the Undercroft in a way.
Yeah.
She looks over the hourglass, and her whole life up to this point, she still doesn't understand. What is this magic?
The sand in the hourglass looks like the sand from the beach below. It's not sand you would have seen before. Even though you grew up on this kind of like island sort of thing, it's not the same kind of sand. The sand is actually more white and like pearlescent, as it would be on the beach below.
Fantastic.
Each of your rooms, and in Westland's case, the common room, are designed to perfection for you. You all sort of take in the night, and in different ways you choose how you sleep. Given that it's the first night, this isn't something I'll always ask, but given that it's the first night, I would like to hear from each of you. I'll go alphabetically this time and ask sort of how your character sleeps, if they sleep, what's going on, how you spend your night, basically, before the morning comes. Your first night here, basically. I'll start with Adriana.
So, as has been the case with her for the longest times now, although she has a bed in her room, and although it is present, she never tends to sleep on her bed anymore. For the last good number of years, she's instead preferred to essentially, it's not so much a sleep so much as it's a relaxing meditation of respite that she takes. So in this situation, it would probably be at the balcony doors with the wind on her hair, on her face, choosing with a locked door, knowing like how this place has worked so far with everything that it has magical wise, that she would hope that a locked door means a locked door.
Yeah.
So she chooses to leave the mask off for the evening, and kind of just, how can I put this? Before she goes to sleep or into this like relaxive state that she puts herself into to be able to rest, she stretches out. She gives a full stretch with every part of her body. I'm sure you know what I'm on about. And obviously does what she needs to do to correct that as such. And then, yeah, she just drifts away with the sound of the air and the feel of the breeze on her neck behind her.
Nice. Dash.
So, first of all, is there paper and writing implements about?
Yeah, if you want them to be. Yeah, that's just stuff that I'll say that you put on your list. Yeah, there would be some sort of writing implement.
Cool. In that case, Dash would just spend a few moments to write a letter to Eleanor's wife, and his mother, thanking Eleanor's wife for the sandwiches. They were lovely. Can't beat egg salad. And explaining to both his mother and Eleanor that his time here will be longer, probably, than he thought.
You just hear in the back of your head your mother crying, like sobbing.
Don't expect to see me for up to a year, but I will keep in touch. Basically, kind of a more, longer-winded version of that.
Right.
I just spend a few minutes to write those, and he'll just tidy those letters away and consider tomorrow where to post them. And then he's going to go try to sneak out of the area, out of his room, out of the common room, and into the main castle. Hopefully without disturbing Weslin's sleep, and just wander the castle a bit on his own for about an hour before returning to sleep, and just kind of have a look around, see if there's any changes about it at night. Look for any kind of interesting doors, anything that's interest.
You make your way around the castle and there isn't too much in interest to you that isn't, because you don't know what you're really looking at, so you don't know what you're looking for. But when you do return back to your room, your window is ajar slightly, and there's a jet black feather sitting on your bed.
Interesting. Cool. Yeah, that's all for Dash. He'll hide the feather away and kind of say to himself, I feel like I should have expected that. Actually, is she here?
No.
Is she in the room?
No. Just a feather.
Oh, he'll just look out the window briefly, smile to himself, close the window, lock it, make sure his door's locked. And then he'll undress and go to bed.
Eos.
So the first thing Eos is going to do is draw a bath.
Nice.
Scent of lavender, candlelight. It's wonderful. Eases her mind. She removes the wrappings. There are bruises, but there's no more wounds. Tops into the bath with a bit of a struggle at this point. Relaxes for about a half an hour. Thoughts going through her mind of what's happened up to here. The reflection of the conversation with Dash about how she found Ducky. Kind of swimming a bit through her mind.
Yeah.
After which, cleans herself off. Gets into bathrobe. Just kind of hobbles over to the windowsill. Places down pillows. Gets into a nice, comfortable position. Kind of rests, looks out the window. And she stays there for about 4 hours in her trance state. That's all she does.
Nice. Just taking in the view. Hatsu.
So Hatsu enters his room and he sees everything nicely arranged as he requested it.
Yeah.
And the first thing he makes when he comes into the room and sees all of that, he places himself in the circle that he drew before. And he looks at the candles, how they were placed, and looks at everything is finicky how he wants it. And then he stands in the middle in the circle and he bows down in kind of like appreciation what has been done for him.
Yeah.
And he looks to his left and sees the window, and he moves over to the window and places the rope that he got from the school in a way that would cover the window, so it's pitch black in his room.
Okay, nice, yeah.
and he kind of tries to get a feeling for the room. Like, he would measure out every inch of the room, so he would find his way blindly through.
Yeah, he learns, yeah.
And after he does that, he kind of places himself in a sitting position on the cushion inside of the circle. And he would carefully not remove his mask, he would kind of lift it a little bit.
Yeah.
And he would shove in this ping pong power balls in his mouth.
Yeah.
And would carefully eat, but he wouldn't uncover his face whatsoever.
That's fine, yeah.
So he kind of does that, and then after eating, he thinks about his sword. That under other circumstances, he would have been like not letting anyone even touch his sword.
Yeah.
So he kind of doesn't know how to feel about it. He feels kind of naked without his swords, but he also acknowledges that the weapon is just an extension of himself, and he himself is the weapon, and he tries to meditate on that, but at the same time he kind of tries to free his spirit to kind of find a connection to his sword. And after a little while, he gets like the impression that the sword is around, and he doesn't has to be scared or whatever.
Yeah.
So what he does after that feeling that the sword is still around and everything is fine, he starts to begin his daily private training routine. So he's doing like basically a handstand in the middle of the circle, and he's doing push-ups, but while he's in a handstand, like up and down, and then he like lifts himself on one hand, then on the other hand, and then he's making some sorts of figures. And after he did that, he is like sitting kind of in a meditation form, and he's doing like some hand signs, and he's going through them, and he's meditating on certain things while he's going through that. And he's doing some stretching, and after that he kind of takes off his clothes, and over the leather parts of the clothes with the family emblem and stuff like that, he's stripping like a little bit of the rose oil, and he kind of polishes it. Like,
oh, that's nice.
It's very important to him that the representation of his family is always at its best.
Yeah.
And that's how he is spending his night.
Yeah. So for Hatsu, when he is settled in and he's relaxed, is he like that tension is removed from him, right? That's not, you mentioned like for his sword and for his stuff, like he finds his peace, right? Cool. Slate.
So obviously, one by one, people have gone to their rooms. So it's currently me, Chicken, and Weslin in the common area. I think eventually I'd get to the point where I feel like, I have to break the spell of where I am. I need to get up and move. I need to go to bed. So I would very, very slowly start to make my way. Not feeling great, so just taking my time. A little bit gingerly kind of make my way up to my room. I would go through the door, close the door, and then much like a common movie we've all seen, straighten up, and all of a sudden all of that is gone, and just move freely and feel normal and relaxed and easygoing. My stance would change, my gait, how I walk, everything would change once the door is closed, once I'm in the room. And I think a few things would happen, you know, as is standard in everywhere he's ever been or I've been. When night comes, temperature drops.
Yeah.
And a slightly lower temperature is always easier to sleep in. So the window that was closed earlier, he would go and open it. He's used to a much colder climate, so albeit only a slight cooling breeze, it's welcomed. It's not quite what he would want. It's not as cold as he would like, but it'll do. The room, you know, the robes that he was given, he would slightly examine them, having not spent any time looking at them, and be curious to sort of understand what had they packed for him. So I'd ask that first before I tell you the next thing that I'll do.
So, what are you? Sorry, you're asking me about the robe specific. You're asking me.
What are they? What do they look like? What kind of clothes did he get? Because everybody else seemed to have got specific things, and he, having not opened his package or done much with it, is curious to see what his package has for him, effectively.
Without crossing too much into telling you how to play your character, I will say that you take the robes in your hand and you notice that the robe's color, specifically where you're holding it, almost alters the tone to suit your skin. So the robes, they seem to be representative of what you need them to be rather than what they are.
Perfect. So I would spend a minute or two having a quick examination, you know, holding them up to whatever moonlight or whatever that's coming through the window, that kind of thing. Have a quick examination, get a vibe for the fit, you know, that kind of, are they skin tight, are they baggy, are they my style? Then once I've ascertained they are what they are, put them back exactly as I found them, you know, on the bed, ready in the corner, whatever. And I think a few things would cross my mind. You know, do I lock the door? You know, everybody has a routine. We're all creatures of habit. So the routine is like, you know, what side of the bed do you sleep on? What way do you face when you're in the room, etc. You know, do I move the bed? And in the end, he doesn't lock the door. He contemplates pushing the bed from where it is slightly out from the wall to create a gap, and thinks about sitting down behind it, and he thinks about stuffing the bed with the pillow into the blankets like that. There's somebody in the bed, but there's not, kind of deal. But then he remembers he has the food from earlier in his pocket. So I would take that out. I would probably go towards the washroom, like we said, that little plinth in front of the mirror. I think, like before, I'd open up the cloth very slowly, deliberately, spread everything out, and I think I would take my time with that and the tankard of water that I would have brought up that I got earlier, and just lay them out. And I think I would spend quite a long time looking at them, smelling them, same thing, you know, using the cloth to orientate them, trying not to touch them too much without using the cloth to move them, that kind of thing. Almost forensically examining them, but without disturbing them as much as possible. I think as well, having been given a magnifying glass earlier, this would be perfect, because I'm trying to touch them without touching them, so I could use that to poke them, but obviously to look closer to see more of what I see. Likewise with the robes, I think I'd be seeing, you know, does the breeze affect them? Does the light affect them? Is anything changing? And then, you know, as it's a kind of a forensic analysis in my mind, it would be going through phases. So leading up to not touching them, then, you know, focusing on smell, and all the way up to everything but eating them. Just trying to see what they are, what they're made of, how they work, what will happen, trying to make note of anything that's happening, any changes, anything really, not knowing what to expect. And then finding myself in the washroom and having a considerable amount of time gone by having that happen, I think naturally the day that's in it, tiredness starts to seep in, exhaustion starts to come. I think usually in washrooms and things like that, they expect there to be water. So there's usually, things like bare stone or tile or something that's created for runoff of water. So usually it's
Right.
it's a colder surface. And I think he would sit with his back to the wall, embracing all of the cold that's there through the floor, from the wall, whatever was there, to bring his temperature down as much as he could from what he's used to. And he would find his comfort in that coldness. And he would leave the food open out, uncovered, open to the elements, the air, everything, in the hopes that, he will review it again in the morning. Maybe something will have changed. Maybe he'll leave it for the following day. And maybe he'll periodically inspect it and make mental notes of any findings he may or may not get.
Right. Yeah.
And just as he's, in front of the mirror before he sits down to make his place of comfort, I think he'd spend a moment just staring absent-mindedly into the mirror, thinking about the day that he's had, the people that he's met. And I think you'd almost hear under his breath, kind of the tea and things like this, and things that he'd heard during the day.
Echoes of his day, yeah.
Yeah, and then, after he's kind of done all of that, like I said, he's weary, he's tired, he would just sit to the floor, back to the wall, facing into the room, as I say, door unlocked, window open, just calm, centered and grounded, just focusing on the feeling of cold, and he would just let sleep take him. That's it.
Nice. Wesleyan, how's your night going?
Wesleyan does not sleep. Wesleyan hasn't been able to sleep for a few days now. He has tried to. He has laid down and been still. Has ignored Chicken. When Chicken is aware that he is awake and wants to play, but don't play when you're don't play when you're sleeping. Whether or not he is aware of Dash leaving the room, he lays on his back and pretends not to notice. Doesn't notice. Gives up after a few hours of laying there to sit by the fire, lay by the fire, stare out the window, look for some kind of next thing. This one has been going on for a long time, and it's very strange. He will eventually go to sit on the couch again, just kind of stare at the fire until it turns to coals. Wait for the sunrise. Wait.
When the sun rises and your compatriots begin to awaken, and even Chicken begins to wake up, starting your first official day. It's a strange awakening for some of you. Some of you had a good night's sleep, or a good rest, or a good meditation, or trance, or whatever it is each of you individually needs. Some of you had a very long night. But today starts a new part of your journey. As long as you want to be here for the next 9 months, there will be opportunities to go home and to do things, but in 6 days you start what will be the next leg of this journey. Discovering yourselves, discovering your powers, discovering what you can actually do, discovering your limits. And hey, if we unravel a few mysteries along the way, that's pretty cool too. But on that somber note, we will wrap for this evening. We will return next week with Dash explaining exactly what happened today, as excellently as Ryan did at the beginning. Or skin, I should say, not that.
I can
and-
do it in character.
You have to do it in a suit, because if we get chat coming at you, you know.
Facts.
With that in mind, thank you so much for joining us on this absolutely super cool, dope mega journey. This was a nice, quiet one, but it's nice to discover the characters and see what you guys are doing. I'm excited to see where the journey goes, because this is the slow-paced beginning to get you into the mood. But once we start ramping up, we really are going to start ramping up. So brace your butts.
I'm sure I won't have anything else thrown at me, right?
Any of you who have experienced my campaigns in the past knows that I do not do things subtly. Big things are coming. But I want to give you guys time to learn yourselves and learn your characters and get to know the environment and the world, and each beginning part of this journey, particularly using the school as our leverage to encourage this epic tale. We will slowly notch up the difficulty until we're playing in a very, very hard campaign. And I'm very excited for it.
You might have to go easier on Kian for roles like that.
I know, right? God damn.
Get them all out the way on the early levels. Save some for later.
With that in mind, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and I really appreciate it. And thank you for all the follows. We are super, super close to our goal of getting affiliate already, which is nutty. I think we're 6 away. I don't know if we got more since, but that was amazing. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate the support. And it's really nice to see everybody talking and chat and hanging out and supporting my boys here, because they're working hard for this.
Woo.
Looking forward to next week. I should point out that, first of all, social's super active. YouTube is uploading 1 week later. So as we film this, last week's session went up. And as this becomes available on YouTube, the next session will go up. That's how it works. We will be doing it 1 week apart. The VODs will remain up on Twitch as well in a playlist. So you can use whichever platform you prefer. And we're not trying to isolate anybody. Thank you so much for joining us. It's a real pleasure. Anything anyone else wants to say?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Domo arigatou
Better be here.
gozaimashita.
Doma arigato.
Hell yeah.
Mr. Roboto.
God,
Catch you next week.
Catch you next week. Same bat
See you
time,
next
same bat
week,
channel.
guys.